and your beautifully renovated bath. Then off select online bath plus free delivery at the Home Depot. Subject to availability, see homedepot.com/delivery for details.
It's time. You know what time it is? Time. The game for Tuscaloosa's longest running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best. Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
And Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
And a big good afternoon to you. Welcome into the game. T-Town Tide at 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Got a big show lined up for you. We're going to do a Thursday. We're going to talk about what do you want to see from this Alabama football team coming out against the Georgia Bulldogs. A fast start. When you look at Vanderbilt, a big underdog, but it's a home underdog. And, you know, when you look at Alabama, everybody's always kind of gunning for Alabama. Everybody's always gunning for Alabama. And I was talking to a friend of mine a couple of minutes ago, and he seems like it's been almost more of a, as far as the national spotlight, less about Alabama winning the game, but more about Georgia coming back, right? You got to cut their head off and throw them in the trash. Alabama did that for the most part, except that final fourth quarter. We'll talk about that, but we're also going to look ahead to keys to victory. What do you want to see from this Alabama football team? I've also got some audio that I want to reflect on because now we're 4 games into the Kalen DeBoer tenure. We want to see what Kalen DeBoer is able to offer, but I want to go back to a couple of audio clips that will go back to the day that he was announced. And it's some audio that I think is worth. I let a couple of my friends of mine listen to it and just reflect on a couple of things that he said. So we're going to play that coming up around 2:30. I'll get you to react to it. We got Bruce Marshall is going to be a part of our show at 3 o'clock. We'll talk to Rodney Orr at 2:15. TiderInsider.com. Editor, the founder of TITV, WVUH, Tuesday, 6:30 and 10:30. Rodney Orr is going to join us coming up at 2:15. And then we'll talk to Bruce Marshall at 3. And then coming up at 4 o'clock, we'll talk to Brad Powers. We'll look ahead to this upcoming weekend's college football. I saw a stat shared on the social networks that for the next 55 days, we have some sort of football, whether it is college, NFL, for the next 56 days. I'll take it. Football as we open up the month of October. We're also going to go to Duncanville High School. A young man by the name of Keelan Russell, who we talked to back when when he won the Elite 11 MVP. He also won the Rivals 250. That is one of the talks there. That is, we'll dive into it with Keelan Russell in the 5 o'clock hour. 5 o'clock in that area. We'll talk with him, a 5-star quarterback by the name of Keelan Russell that's going to be a part of our show. 5-star commitment to the University of Alabama. Can you imagine if Kalen DeBoer is able to take this offense to where we're able to think, or what we think he can take this offense? Okay, from a standpoint, there will be wide receivers and there will be quarterbacks that will be pleading to play in Tuscaloosa. Yes, they want their NIL side of things. Okay, that's just the world we live in. But when you talk about from a system that you're going to put up big numbers, I mean, think about Ryan Williams. Steps in, day one, starter, day one. I was talking to Jamarcus Shepard about this yesterday. He said, because we were talking about Julio Jones, this was after the media availability for just a couple of minutes. This was off mic, but it was not off record. And he said, we did the same thing to Ryan Williams. We put him at that 4th string and let him work his way up. A lot of the players, they don't want to be given anything. They want to earn it, right? I mean, that's the competitive nature. But you think about wide receivers being coached in this system with Jamarcus Shepard, one of the top wide receivers coaches in the entire country, and a co-offensive coordinator, and I believe assistant head coach. So a lot of titles out there for Jamarcus Shepard, and you can call it an ace recruiter as well, because he's a guy that can go out and get these 5 stars to be able to sell the University of Alabama. He almost did that yesterday for 11 minutes. We talked about his football team, his players, his position groups, but he almost found a way to twist a lot of those questions back to recruiting. And I put the one up on a tee for him and said, hey, knock this one out of the park. What's it like to have Julio Jones on your sidelines when you're recruiting that position? I mean, can you imagine? So Keelan Russell is going to join us coming up We're going to have a chance to feature him, the 5-star out of Duncanville High School at 5:30. He's off to just an incredible start to the season. When you look at four games in, when you look at Keelan Russell, and this is a young man who went to the Elite 11 and won the whole darn thing, right? He went to the Rivals 250 camp. He won the whole darn thing there. He's 90 of 120. This is his stats in high school. Number one team in the state of Texas. He's 90 of 120. And by the way, Texas football, high school football, you might as well call it junior college, because it's another level when you talk about the production and the players going up against, other D1 players. I think there's 350 D1 players out of that state. Let that sink in. And you want a comparison, I understand Texas is a lot bigger than the state of Alabama. Alabama generally has between 60 and 80. We play great football here, but per capita, it's pretty solid. But when you look at the players, they go up against 350 Division I players, number one team in the state of Texas. And if you look at all across the country, nationally, they're fourth. And it's all behind the Baller of the Month, according to Elite 11. They recognize Keelan Russell, 90 of 120, 1,415 yards and 21 touchdowns. Right now, his team is undefeated, and a team that expected to, win another division out there, win another state title. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about, can you imagine being at that game from a recruiting standpoint? I mean, because we're all sitting here reacting. I'm having a hard time moving beyond Alabama and Georgia. To me, it is, it's hard. It's hard to move to Vanderbilt. I mean, I know we're Thursday. Thankfully, we don't have to put the chin strap on and try to go play. But this will be one of those things that we'll talk about. What do you want to see from this Alabama football team to know that this team is ready to compete for championships? Is the expectation. Kalen DeBoer said it when he first got here. Hey, what's the expectation in Tuscaloosa? I get it. He said, I'm ready to embrace it. I'm ready to. That's what I've always dreamed of, to be at a place where championships are the expectation. And for Alabama to be that championship caliber team, what do you want to see from this Alabama football team? Going up against Vanderbilt on the road, 3:15. Going to be hot, as it is in the South this time of the year. I looked up the temp, somewhere in the upper 80s, so a little bit, because Alabama's really played a lot of evening games, plus the trip to Wisconsin was 11 o'clock, which was not, it was not cold up there by no means, but we've been playing in the evening, so it's a 3:15 as Alabama gets ready to take on Vanderbilt as a second game of the SEC, and a 24.5-point favored against those Vanderbilt Commodores. We'll talk to Rod Neor about what he wants to see from this Alabama football team, and then we'll ask Bruce Marshall and Brad Powers, two professional handicappers that we feature each and every week, to share some thoughts on this upcoming game, and we might even look back from an Alabama-Georgia perspective. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyland Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. Buy 3 tires, get that 4th tire for only $1. It is happening right now in the service department. You can schedule that service online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. Tuscaloosa Toyota on Skyland Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. How about a Tundra? How about a Tacoma 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive? How about a Camry, Corolla, Highlander, RAV4? It is Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. Rod Neor is going to be joining us coming up in a couple of minutes. I will give you a Blue Spring Living Water, which is something that we're promoting. Your health is important to you, right? It should be. If you're living in this wonderful country, we have some great blessings of living in the greatest country in the entire world, and one of those that we can have a quality health, and Blue Spring Living Water wants to make that possible. Listen, we did this a few months ago. We added the water fountain in our home, which, water dispenser. They come out, they change the water out. And our family is drinking more water because of Blue Spring Living Water. They've been a sponsor for several years. Introduced those guys from Mark's Mark. It's kind of funny how all of our sponsors, because you do great things for your sponsors, the sponsors tell other people about you, and then you make connections like Blue Spring Living Water. They provide our injury report, and they are also introduced something just a few months ago, is Pneuma. Pneuma is an oxygenated water. Oxygen, we know, is the number one healer. Anytime that you can increase your oxygen absorption, it is Pneuma, which is the water. And they're providing an injury report for us, and they will be for the remaining part of the season. So you got Alabama has 2 players. One player, Kendrick Law, which has got a lower extremity injury. I don't know what that injury is. I mean, I got to be honest, other than a lower extremity injury. Seems like that's where Kalen DeBoer is going to describe these injuries. So it is Vanderbilt, Alabama. Kendrick Law is questionable. And also Justin Jefferson is probable, the linebacker spot. Let me also dive into a couple of other things because Tim Keenan went down to the final couple of minutes of that game. He's good. He's good to go. He's not even wearing a no-contact jersey. So you can kind of rest assured. And then Devontae Smith with cramps. So that one, the issue has been, dissolved there. Now, Vanderbilt, on the other side of things, they have a defensive lineman. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know Vanderbilt that well. Don't know anything really other than just the stats. I mean, trust me, I'm not that bored to sit down and watch Vanderbilt play. Okay, I will Saturday. Listen, as long as I got Leave It to Beaver reruns, then I'm not going to sit there and watch Vanderbilt play. Okay, so I'll let you guys do that, but we will provide you an injury report. You got a defensive lineman that's out. You got a cornerback that's out. You got an offensive lineman that's out. You have an edge guy that's questionable. And you have 2 wide receivers, 1 questionable, 1 probable, a safety, and a defensive lineman. So we'll read through those, and we'll kind of go into some of the stats when you look at Vanderbilt, Alabama. Like I said, 24-point favorite. What do you want to see from this Alabama football team? We'll ask Rodney Orr coming up in just a couple of minutes. But our injury report, courtesy of Numa. Numa is a 20% discount by going to Blue Spring. Just do a little Google search for Blue Spring Living Water. You can also find it where you get your groceries, whether it's Publix or Mark's Market in downtown. Piggly Wiggly is an option. For the folks in lower Alabama, we call that L.A. If you guys are in L.A., Rouse's Supermarket, you can find it there. Numa, and if you are looking for just the regular water, you can also find that. And, it is a 300-year-old spring up in Blount County. You'll find it there. That is a pretty unique little aquifer. That's shockingly clear water. It's so pristine that you can stand at the top of it and look down 40 feet down into the spring. Go to BlueSpringLivingWater.com. I promise you. It looks like something you would see in the Caribbean with the color of the water. But the spring water is forced through depths of internal pressure, bubbling slowly to the top of over a period of centuries before a single cycle is complete. So Blue Spring water is one of the few North American waters truly bottled at the source. They actually have a bottling company right there at the source. This is in Blount County, and a perfect pH balanced water. Try it. I promise you, you're going to love it. Blue Spring Living Water, providing our injury report. We're going to continue with more. Paul and Lincoln, I see you, and many others. We'll get to you coming up in a couple of minutes, but Rodney Orr breaks down.
For custom screen printing, let Eyecatchers print shirts for your next event. 345-7762. Eyecatcher Screen Printing and Gifts, where getting seen becomes an art.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A very warm afternoon. The sky partially sunny. The high 87. For tonight, mostly fair with the low at 68. For tomorrow, a mixture of clouds and sunshine. Just a few isolated showers around during the day. Tomorrow's high 84. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 87 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Coming up here in just a couple of minutes, we got Keelan Russell at 5:30. We'll talk to the 5-star quarterback from Duncanville, Texas, Duncanville High School, a young man that's got his number 1 in the state of Texas and number 4 nationally. He's got him undefeated. We'll talk with him at 5:30. Brad Powers at 4. Bruce Marshall coming up at 3 o'clock. We'll take your phone calls coming up in about 15 minutes. We're asking what is keys to victory and what do you want to see from this Alabama football team going up against a team that you're over a 3-touchdown favorite on the road against Vanderbilt. We'll talk about it right here with Rodney Orr. We'll also look back to the Alabama-Georgia game. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, TITV, WVUA, each Tuesday, 6:30, 10:30 on the replay. Hey, Rodney, I hope you're having a great Thursday. Welcome into the game in T-Town.
Well, how are you?
Good. I'm having a hard time looking beyond this Georgia game. I hope the players are not struggling like I am.
You remember playing that Ryan Williams catch in your mind for the last 4 or 5 days?
Yeah. Over and over and over. I mean, if I had $1 for every time I watched that, I wouldn't have to be buying too much food.
Yeah, it was a pretty incredible play, man. It was, it was one of the best plays I think I've ever seen at Alabama.
Really?
By a player.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was to be able to go up and make that catch and then land on your feet the way he did. And, those are 2 5-star defensive backs that were within range of him. And He pulled a David Palmer there. He made, and for those that didn't see David Palmer, and I'm sure most of you or a lot of your listeners, Ryan, saw David Palmer. That was a David Palmer move that David Palmer made routinely. Now Ryan's a little bigger and a little faster than David was straight ahead, but anyway, that was a tremendous play that he made. And then the other one, the other catch, was phenomenal as well, to be able to find that ball that popped up. But he saved them in the second half. Just the way I look at it, Ryan Williams saved Alabama. What basically accounted for 10 points there that were really important.
Rodney, you've been talking about Ryan Williams for a long time. I mean, even before he reclassified, you said, you thought that this was a guy to keep an eye on. But, I mean, if you're completely transparent with us, did you think he would make this type of impact in the SEC this early?
Well, it's funny because I was on another show earlier today, and they asked that question, and they've asked me that question a few times already. But just how surprised are you? And, up until then, I said, look, I expected a lot of big things from him. But you really can't, to be honest with you can't say that you could predicted what he did in this game against Georgia. I mean, like I said, I think that's one of the best plays I've ever seen at Alabama. I've been following them for nearly 50 years, Ryan, or over 50 years. So it's a lot of football I've seen, a lot of Alabama football. So with all that said, no, I didn't. I mean, I don't know how can you really predict something like that it's, he's going to perform on this level as quickly as he has. So, to answer your question, yeah, I'm a little surprised that it's what he's done so far.
When you look at this offense and you think about, you and I talked about this from a recruiting standpoint, that if the offense is what we think it will be, Rodney, you're not going to have to worry about recruiting. I mean, that's going to be the least of your worries. Yeah, you got the NIL, and you got to make sure that you're in the market for the right. But, I mean, this explosive of an offense, wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, anybody on the offensive side of the football, and certainly Kane Womack's made a pretty good case on the defensive side of the football, that's not going to have to be a big concern. How do you see this impacting recruiting?
Yeah, I heard you say you're having Keelan Russell on here a little bit later. He's obviously a quarterback, the state of Texas. He has to be looking at Jalen Milroe and thinking, wow, look at what they've done. And Milroe's got talent, don't get me wrong. It's not like they're making, making something out of nothing, for sure. But again, to be able to take all of his tools and put him in a position to be successful and, bring out the best in him, that's coaching. And, Keelan Russell and all these other recruits, these skilled people, the receivers, offensive linemen, even as you said on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, like I said, Ryan, I think I said this back, I don't know how many times on your show, when we talked about all these commitments that they have, that wait till about October, early November, and there's going to be a bunch of guys or, a handful of guys that are committed to other schools that all of a sudden they're going to say, hey, I want to give Alabama a second look. And I think that's probably what we're going to see and we're starting to see. So I don't think there's going to be any problem. Now, I will say this. The one area that if you want to be – I'm not really sure about the defensive line right now. I still would like to see more see Alabama be more competitive with big-time defensive line recruits. I know they've gotten some good ones over the last few years, but I do think that that's an area where they need to, probably get in on some more guys.
Rodney, go back to the defensive side of the football. I mean, we spend so much time, but think about, that interception. I mean, if that interception doesn't happen, we're probably talking about Ryan Williams' play, but also when you think about, Xavier Brown, to be able to make an impact from an early, for one, to be able to get your players confident enough to play in a system like this. But Kane Womack, man, he's done a heck of a job on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, I mean, to show a lot of confidence in these guys, and I think Kane Womack's been doing that. Heck, you could go back to spring practice, when some of these guys, Avian was here, Zay was here, Zay Mincy, Jalen Mbakwe. Of course, Mbakwe's playing quite a bit. Zay hadn't played much, at corner since that first game or two. But just to show the confidence that Womack's shown in him has been really pretty amazing to me. But and he said way back that there would be some hiccups. These guys are in a growth process right now, and but I think we saw that kind of before our eyes a little bit on Saturday night, because you saw them go at Brown on that route a couple of times, and I think he kind of, that third time or so, he really kind of said, okay, now I know what's coming, and he was prepared and made the play. So I think we saw him probably grow up a little bit in this game, and hopefully that'll be something that he can kind of carry on and continue to make that progress.
From a national perspective, I wish Alabama would have kind of put the hammer, the foot more on the pedal and press the gas a little bit, run Georgia completely out of there. But as far as a perfect scenario, Rodney, I think it was a perfect scenario, right? I mean, you learned a lot about your football team, and think about how many learning lessons you can teach them about playing 4 quarters.
Oh, no, I think it was a blowout, like you said. I'm not really sure what purpose that would have served. I think the way it unfolded probably could be beneficial for the team for some of the things that you just mentioned there. A lot of learning experiences. I'm sure the coaches learn some things as well. Learn some things about their team, maybe some things that they do. Kind of whether it's defense, offense, however they do it, whatever they do. I'm sure they learned some things too. And so to be able to have a game like that and still figure out a way to win, find a way to win, it was pretty amazing because, like you said, I mean, Alabama, obviously everyone knows how the game unfolded, but they're pretty much dominating the game on both sides of the ball. And then you knew Georgia was going to make a run, but I didn't know that they were going to come back and, take that 34-33 lead. But to have Alabama on the ropes like that, because they were on the ropes, and Georgia's defense was pretty dialed in at that point. And then to just, 14 seconds after Georgia takes the lead, you have this play. It's great play. And then, Xavier Brown seals it off. But those are, I think those are the kind of things that really kind of, you see teams win championships because of games like that.
What do you want to see from this Alabama football team against Vanderbilt, knowing that they're not where Alabama is as far as the caliber of players? 24.5-point favorite against the Vanderbilt Commodores on the road. What do you want to see?
I just want to see, hopefully, a lot of maturity from this team. I mean, I think you've got some guys on offense, Milroe, Booker, maybe a few other guys, Caden Proctor, defensive guys, Malachi Moore, Deontay Lawson. Some of those guys that can, show that leadership that they're going to need going on the road after a big win. Last week we were watching the Texas-Mississippi State game, and they're playing in Austin, and it's a 1-point game right before half. So you have to be careful. I think Vanderbilt's an improved team. I mean, that quarterback's I say he's a baller. He's really good. So he's going to be a little bit of a handful. Just Ryan, going out there and playing fundamentally sound, tackling, good tackling, getting off the field, continuing to get off the field on third down, and, in this other case, fourth down, right, against Georgia. But just getting off the field and, offensively clicking, taking the next step. You always want to see them taking the next step. And I think what we've seen, maybe especially on the offensive side of the ball, I think they've taken the next step basically every week.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, they've got, as they like to say, 1-0. They one game, and Jamarcus Shepard talking about that yesterday. It's getting it, but just to see how they respond, right?
Yeah.
We were there, the rat traps all over the football building. That's pretty cool. It's a good visual aid because I'll be honest with you, first time I saw it, I was like, what in the world is this? I mean, they got mice problem in the football. I mean, it didn't even cross my mind about a rat trap. I'm like, okay, maybe they got problems. Hey, they're normal. They're normal. But there's not a mice problem. It's just trying to set the rat trap, the visual aid. brilliant.
Well, yeah, and you're right, Ryan. And, again, I think it's they've done a really kind of a good job of selling that this week. I mean, I think when you look at it from what I've seen and hear, when I hear these coaches, they're really pushing that. They've this week the message has been, I heard some of the questions. They want to keep talking about what happened last week against Georgia. And you could hear the assistant coaches saying, you know what, that's over with. Now it's time to move on to Vanderbilt. And so you can tell that's been something that's been in the meeting rooms with them. They've been really pushing hard is, we got to look forward, guys. We can't linger back. It's still a 24-hour rule. So I think that's the thing. Yeah, I really want to see some maturity on Saturday.
And that's the conversation. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, TiderInsider.com, Rodney Orr. Rodney, thoughts outside of Alabama around the SEC? Anything other than Alabama, the Georgia that grabs you? I mean, does Texas have a quarterback
no
issue?
I don't think so. I personally don't think so. I think as soon as Ewers is healthy, he'll be back. I don't know when that is. I haven't been able to keep up with that, but I would think Ewers will be back in the saddle before too long. I still think, obviously we talk about this game. You look forward to the South Carolina game in a couple of weeks. They've been pretty good. They look to be much improved. Then you've got Tennessee after that. That's going to be a really, let's hope you get there unscathed, and then that's going to be a real showdown. That's going to be really interesting because Tennessee looks like they're a really good team. But you could talk about Auburn too. I mean, they've lost 3 kind of close games, and they've got some tough ones coming up. They've got Georgia this week, and I think they have Kentucky and South Carolina. You know what? Those are going to be really 3 tough games for them. Can find out a lot about the future of Auburn, I think, over the next 3 weeks.
College football, the survival contest that we are setting up, because think about where we're at in the month of September, closing that month out, and how injuries have already impacted the game. It always will be. I mean, injuries are part of it. But because of the depth concerns around college football, it's going to be a survival contest. I don't see it any other way.
Yeah. And, it's interesting, too, because I was talking to someone else earlier, the way Alabama's utilizing so many players at different positions. You look out there in the secondary, and I saw a bunch of guys shuffling in. Deshaun Jones was in at corner, some other guys, working them around. So they're getting a lot of guys on the field, which over the long haul, that's going to pay some dividends. I didn't see how the offensive line shook out in terms of, the rotation. I haven't really looked at that. But having those 5 guys that they've had over the past couple of weeks, and, obviously Wilkin Formby's worked in some and Gino Vandemark, but to have 7 guys that you feel really good about or confident that if you had to plug somebody in, that's a big bonus there too as well. But, so like I said, I feel really good about where Alabama is right now. I think they've made tremendous progress, Ryan, over the last, 4 games.
It's going to be fun to watch this continue to grow, because I still think there's some more of this offense that they've still –
a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the part that you're trying to play a little guessing game. If it would have been a little different game, you might have seen a little bit more of this offense. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, TiderInsider.com, TITVWVUA, each Tuesday, 6:30, 10:30, replayed right there, archived at TiderInsider.com. Become a part of that community and connect with those guys at TiderInsider.com. Also find him on Facebook, find him on Twitter. Just do a little simple search for Tider Insider. Rodney, I appreciate you, man. Hope you have a great weekend. Thank you again for being a part of our show.
Thank you, Ryan. Take care.
Thank you. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com, the editor, the founder of the incredible website. All right, let's take some of your phone calls. We'll do that. But I want to reflect on an audio clip. I want to go back to Kalen DeBoer introduction press conference. Remember that Saturday press conference where we were there inside the zone, where they announced that Kalen DeBoer, we already knew that, but it's the formal introduction. He said some things that grabbed me. because now we're 4 games into this schedule. 205 University Boulevard, 205-758-2455. If you're looking for pimento cheese, you're looking for chicken salad. If you're looking for the club, you know what's better than the club, the double club. You can have that option. How about the French dip sandwich with that great roast beef? You can have that option. If you're looking for a salad like the Nuke's favorite, the ultimate, call ahead orders, easy takeout, 205-758-2455. Also conveniently on the app, you can have your food delivered to you via the different mobile apps. But, hey, right there, Nuke's Eatery, 205 University Boulevard, 205-758-2455. We always like to say close enough that you can smell the championships. I did Nuke's just a couple days ago. Always a great meal. It's hard to turn down that French dip sandwich. It was a featured sandwich back in the summer. They've added to the normal menu or the regular menu that you have. French dip sandwich. Oh, man, it's awesome. It's awesome. All right, let's go back to Kalen DeBoer introduction press conference, because now we're 4 games in and we've learned a lot about Kalen DeBoer. But I want to go back to the championship expectation, because here in Tuscaloosa, there's many times that I debate. I always debate. QD, I saw your question, and I'm sorry, I just saw it. QD says, hey, can you ask Rodney about recruiting safeties? I would have thought we would be in the play for several 5-star safeties with losing Moore and Sapp this year. QD, I just saw your question. My bad. So I would have slipped that in there, but I'm just now getting on the Twitter notifications, and I missed that one. But my bad. I'll see if we can work something into somewhere. If not, we'll talk to Rodney next week, and I'll work that back in, because I do enjoy the recruiting side of things. But recruiting is going to be less of our problem, right? I mean, you think about this system, think about safeties, the way that's featured, think about quarterbacks, think about running backs, you think about offensive weapons, offensive linemen. It's going to be a thing. It's going to be fun to play in. We were kind of accustomed to the defensive side of the football, but Kalen DeBoer said a couple of things that maybe didn't grab us at the time that probably grabs us as we're 1 month into the season. He was asked about championship, or no, this was just part of his formal introduction, things that he said. Let's let him walk through this when you look at the conversation as far as championships and winning not just SEC titles, but national titles as well.
Why would you go to Alabama? Why? Well, I think there's a lot of really obvious answers, right? And I've touched on that. When it comes to tradition and the history of the program, it's second to none, okay? And when I look at places that I want to be, it's about winning championships. And that's an expectation that I cannot wait and accept as a privilege to try to uphold, winning SEC championships, winning national championships. That's an expectation and a love and an interest that I've always had, and a passion that I'll have, and looking forward to carry on with our players, our staff, and all of you here as we go through these years ahead. Okay.
Now let's flip it back, because we've watched Kalen DeBoer navigate this relationship. You talk to the players, they say it's authentic. You got coaches. Listen to what Kalen DeBoer told us at the introduction press conference. This is the knocker out of the park right here. This is the one. It's the deep 500-yard shot, because now we know what that relationship that day. This word probably didn't mean as much as it does today. Listen to how he's built this team, because we can reflect upon it. Here is Kalen DeBoer talking about the relationships and how they build with the players.
But the championship teams have something special. They have that it factor. And the relationships that we will build will help us have an accountability for each other. Okay, accountability to ourselves, accountability from coach to coach, coach to player, player to player, player to coach. We'll also form a brotherhood that is so tight, okay, that anything that comes our way will not break us. And we'll be tough. And we call these our 3 non-negotiables that we will stand by. And the toughness piece is not just physical, okay, which is what Alabama football prides itself on. It will also be mental toughness, understanding how to handle adversity, because we understand the challenge that it takes to win a national championship. We understand that it's not easy. It never is, but anything worth anything at all is hard. And we're looking forward to that journey and to those challenges.
So he talks about the relationships. He talks about things that they'll be able to accomplish on this journey. And now we see this bond, and we talk about the unbreakable bond and how much you get out of that. You're starting to see that being formed. He said the it factor. Every championship team has that it factor. So I'm asking you, when you look at this Vanderbilt game, what do you want to see that can confirm that this team was just not a fluke of beating Georgia, not just beating Wisconsin, not just beating South Florida, not just beating Western Kentucky, but that you can truly look at yourself and go, we got to recalibrate, that we actually think that this team can go out and compete for a championship, whether it's an SEC title or a national title. I'm asking you, when you look at this Vanderbilt team, yeah, it's a team that's inferior, right? It's a team that doesn't have the caliber players that Alabama has. But Alabama coming off of this emotional roller coaster where you got them as high as you could possibly get them, and the revenge factor was there for Georgia, and Alabama countered that with a punch in the mouth of 21-0 at the end of the first quarter and the halftime score. And then you watch the emotions come back, and you watch Georgia retake that lead, or really not just retake it, but just take their first lead in the fourth quarter, and then Alabama responded. So I want to see how this Alabama football team responds, but I'm very curious what you want to see from this Alabama football team. Hey, Paul. Good afternoon, Paul. You're in the game. I hope all is well, my friend.
Hey, Ryan. How you doing, buddy?
Good. You having a good day?
Good. Yeah. I want to, first of all, embrace the suck. I got to start that out.
Okay.
My call.
And how do you spell that?
That's S-A-U. That's S-A-U-C-K.
And the A-U stands for?
That's for the Auburn Tigers.
Okay, Auburn Tigers.
The Auburn Tigers.
The 2-3 Auburn Tigers.
The 2-3 Auburn Tigers. But they got a commitment from their generational quarterback last night.
Oh, okay. Can he start this year? Can he transfer and play like in the month of October?
Being it's Lee County, I'm sure Hugh Hefner Freeze could probably pull some strings and maybe make him eligible. But I don't think so. I think they're stuck with what they have. It's quarterback position.
You mean Hank Heisman Brown didn't really work out?
Hammer and Hank?
Yeah, Hammer and Hank, Heisman Brown, whatever
Hammer
it was.
Hammer and Hank didn't seem to answer the bell, and Peyton Thorne is a total mess. It couldn't happen to a better program, and I'm certainly happy to see them at 2. Well, they're 2-3 now. They'll soon be 2-4 after Saturday afternoon in Athens, and the train may come off the tracks after that game Saturday in Athens, Ryan. There's lots of, and I don't know who knows if it's rumor, innuendo, but there's a lot of noise out there about the locker room, and it may not be the most festive locker room in the country at this time. So
can't say I blame them, but as we say in the South, right. Bless their heart, and we really don't mean it, but we don't know anything else to say, so we just say bless their heart.
Right. Exactly.
Last night when I saw the quarterback had decommitted and committed, I'm just sitting there going, man. I mean, think about your Paul. You don't say where you work out publicly, but if I offered you a job and it was the worst company in your market that you're in, would you take it? Because that's what Auburn's selling right now. They're selling the worst fast food chain that you could possibly ever imagine. They're selling the worst, if I was radio station, the worst radio station in the country. What would they have to pay on NIL? Much more than what the typical going rate, because you're going there as a risk. Because you may not play for a guy for 1 year. This thing could unravel and fall to the ground, which is probably more likely than to try to get it reversed.
Exactly. I mean, it's a powder keg down there, Ryan. But that's what you get when you hire a human trafficker. That's what you get when you hire
the scandal.
Somebody
Paul.
that's exactly. I mean, they tried to ruin a man's family, and darn sure probably come close to doing it.
And I love his tweets.
They manufactured it.
I love his tweets.
They manufactured. Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just it couldn't happen to a better bunch, Ryan. I'm telling you. What I want to see from the Tide Saturday is I kind of got in late listening, but I want to see Alabama beat Vanderbilt like Alabama normally beats, and that's pretty. Things are pretty much clicking. I want to, certainly there's things to improve on each week. Even after a huge win like last Saturday night, there's different tweaks and things that can be done. But I just want to see a solid performance. The way Alabama should beat Vanderbilt handily. They should, and I'm anxious to see how Coach DeBoer has the guys ready after probably. Listen, I think it's probably other than beating Texas in the semifinals last year, it's probably the biggest win of his coaching career last Saturday night in Bryant Denny, and let's just see how the team looks against certainly a far lesser opponent like Vandy.
You think this team can win a national title?
Oh, of course. I'm sure they can. Ryan, if I want to just change focus just one second, if you don't mind, and indulge me just a second.
Yeah, you're fine.
I've been, I tell you what's going on in the path of this hurricane, the videos that you can see, Ryan, it's absolutely heartbreaking. It's really, it's unbelievable, Ryan. You've got entire families they're no longer here. They're no longer with us. They're gone. You've got entire cities or towns. You've got entire communities that are wiped out, and there's no getting to them. There's no. The only way in some of these areas, the only way to get to them is by helicopter. And Ryan, me and you last night, we probably went to bed with a full belly, a comfortable bed. We got up, we ate breakfast this morning, and had a pretty good lunch. There's people up there that have not eaten in over a week. There's people dying every day. There's dead bodies hanging in trees. There's dead bodies all over the ground, in ditches, dead animals everywhere. And it's heartbreaking to hear some of these people that's on the ground. They can get on the ground, it's just unbelievable. And you've got oatmeal Joe Biden, this complete fraud, saying that they've already given what they can give the federal government. You've got Kamala Harris yesterday stand up and said that the families are eligible for $750. Yet you can pay $1 billion with a B, $1 billion to facilitate the invasion of this country of over 20 million invaders. And you can give hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine to fight a war they'll never win. And you've got American people that are suffering like they've never suffered in their lives. And it's just, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting to me. And the only chance this country has, Ryan, is November 5th. Donald Trump, we've got to get a true leader back in the office, because this regime that is in charge now, they're evil, they're diabolical, they're demonic, they're disgusting, and they can all go to hell. All right, Ryan, I appreciate you letting me get that off my chest.
We'll just say amen. I don't know if I could have said it any better. Thanks, Paul.
I agree.
Amen.
All right, thank
you. And we are continuing to raise awareness about that. We had Bobby Herndon on yesterday to talk about raising supplies for Hurricane Helene victims that have went through this. And, hey, that's, listen, I remember being here in 2011, okay? What rebuilt Tuscaloosa? Yeah, they may have got funding 6 months or 8 months or 9 months down the road, but April 27, 2011, the devastation that hit our town, I remember Barack Obama was the commander-in-chief, okay? Barack Obama and I didn't see eye to eye with some political side of things, but a very smart individual, right? Highly intelligent. I'm not sure I can say the same thing about the two that are up there now, okay? Barack Obama was highly intelligent, okay? I mean, he could at least...
these people are still highly intelligent, and they know exactly what they're doing.
Well, and maybe it is. But 2011, when I saw April 27th happen, I remember the governor and the mayor, the government came down and said, well, listen, we're going to get you this. Well, we're already doing that. I mean, it was like they were a step ahead. It gives you, in a time of crisis like this, it gives you a chance to identify what is really wrong with the infrastructure and the logistics of our country. And Paul's right. What is wrong with an America First mentality? somebody'd love to call and help me out with that, I'd love to hear it. The American first mentality of putting our country before, our people that have, paid into this way, and we're here today. So, Paul, you said it, and I think a lot of us echo that. But we're also going to continue to raise money for that. Bobby Herndon will be back next week at some point, just like he was yesterday, to talk about taking supplies. They're going to another trip next Thursday to raise money and to continue to go back to North Carolina. It's kind of repaying what was paid to us back in 2011 and other devastations that's happened throughout. These communities came to our rescue, and Bobby Herndon and his foundation trying to continue. We've kind of partnered up with those guys to make sure that we can get some supplies there. And we'll do the North Carolina. We'll feature the mayor again, former mayor of Northport, Bobby Herndon, which was part of our show. TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyline Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. If you're looking for a new Tundra, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, how about a Tacoma, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive? Many different models to choose from. How about a RAV4, Highlander, Camry, Corolla? How about the pre-owned inventory? It is Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. As we count it down, the start of Alabama Crimson Tide basketball, 32 days away, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. And right now we go to Bruce Marshall. Bruce Marshall, I hope you're having a great day. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Hey, War Eagle. Well, wait a minute. I got wrong Alabama.
Wrong city. This
ain't Opelika. All right. Roll Tide. There we go. I'm all right.
Roll Tide. We're the same team that beat Georgia. I'm not sure if you realize that, Bruce, but we're
yes, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, I want to go back from your perspective. You're a college football historian. You look back at this atmosphere. You look back at this game. Give me your big reaction to Alabama's takedown of the Georgia Bulldogs again.
Instant classic, but I think, Ryan, we're going to look back later in the season and say this was just the first of what's going to be a trilogy. I think these teams are going to meet two more times, and I think in the SEC title game, and yes, I think Georgia can go into Texas and win, which would give them a leg up on the Longhorns and handle the rest of the schedule. And SEC title game, for whatever that's going to be worth, they're both going to be in the final 12, and I think these are the two best teams. If they seed it correctly, these two could meet in the final game. Just like, NFL, you get that once in a while, division teams meeting in the playoffs, like the Bills and Dolphins 2 years ago, 49ers and Rams 3 years ago. I think we're going to get three of those. It was an instant classic, but like I said, the eventual, how this is going to play out is going to be in the upcoming matchups that I think they're going to have. But I think what really struck me in that game was how well prepared Alabama was at the start, and that was right on Kalen DeBoer. I mean, he had them out firing like in the first quarter, like I have rarely seen a team. They were so ready to play. And sometimes you get a lead like that, though, and against a really good team like Georgia, and it's hard to sustain that, though, for 60 minutes, and Georgia did come back. But Bama made those big plays and the long touchdown pass in the fourth quarter to get back ahead at the interception right at the end. So they made the big plays. It was a classic game, but I think it was just the appetizer. I think we're going to see these guys do it again at least one more time, maybe two more times this season.
All right, Bruce, last week you thought that they had the wrong team favored. Up at the end of the day, you were right. You told us that. You explained. If Alabama was playing them on a neutral field, do you think the outcome would be different?
Possibly, but I don't think so. But I'll say this: I know the odds makers, and they probably wouldn't budge the odds in a rematch. On a neutral field, they'd probably put Georgia 3.5. I'd put it pick 'em. But again, like I said, I've been 3 to 4 points off on Alabama. Stronger for Bama in my ratings than the odds makers have it. I think Georgia did enough where they wouldn't downgrade them. If they played on a neutral field, I think the game would have probably looked about the same. Sequentially, would Bama have got out 28-0 in the first quarter? I don't know, but I think they probably would have won, like they usually do against Georgia. But like I said, we'll get another chance to see these two teams, I am sure, sometime later this season.
Let me ask you about Alabama Vanderbilt. That's a big number. Now Alabama's the number one team in the country according to the AP poll. This is at 22.5. It's actually went down since it first opened up. I just looked again. It's down to 22.5. So we've seen a lot of the Sharks maybe push this line down a little bit. Alabama minus the 22, 54.5 is the game total up in Nashville.
Yeah, and, scheduling-wise, you get Bama right off that monster game against Georgia, and you've had Vandy 2 weeks to prepare. It's a better Vandy. It's going to be better than the Vandy team that Bama last saw 2 years ago in Tuscaloosa, 55-3. And before that, I think the previous meeting was 59-0 in Nashville a few years before that. It'll be closer this time. It's a little different Vanderbilt team. Back, we were in Dallas, Ryan, we were both there in July at SEC Media Days, and I talked to Clark Lee a little bit, and I asked him about some of the changes this year, and really he sort of explained it fully, how he ended up getting the new offensive coordinator, Tim Beck from New Mexico State, really because he watched the New Mexico State-Auburn game last year, and he saw the Aggies go in to Jordan-Hare and really have their way with the Tigers. He liked what Beck was doing. Brought along with him his quarterback, Diego Pavia, who is given an upgrade there. He is really good. He's a Joe Kapp-type quarterback, really tough-minded. He'll run out of the pocket. He throws better than Mike Wright, who's another runner that Vandy had a couple of years ago, now up at Northwestern. A real leader, and you saw in Mexico State the last couple of years with Pavia. He is a tough hombre, and he's played pretty well. But most importantly, they brought Jared Kill along, and that was sort of a bonus. That's the head coach in Mexico State. He retired after last year as head coach. He's had some health issues in the past. He had to step down at Northern Illinois and at Minnesota earlier, but he unquestionably a really good coach. And it was Tim Beck who told Lee, hey, why don't you give Coach Kill a call? I don't think he's really ready to retire. He's just too much demand of a head coach. He called Coach Kill up and said, would you like, are you interested in joining the staff? And it just so happens that Coach Kill and his wife, their granddaughter, lives in Nashville. And they said, you know what? We'd love to come up. And so that has benefited Vandy a lot. They're a different team, and the Kill influence is really good. And we saw them almost beat Mizzou a couple weeks ago. So I wouldn't lay this many points. I think Vandy's a little better. Pavia, the back door is going to be open. You've got Bama off of that monster win last week. 3+ TDs, a little much, and I'm not surprised the numbers come down a little bit here. That didn't surprise me at all. Bama wins handily by more than 3 touchdowns, not sure.
All right, let's stick with the same mindset of this Alabama-Georgia game, whether it's maybe a little bit of a layover. Georgia takes on Auburn. They will at home against 23 points against a Tiger team that's really struggling at 2-3 and 0-2 in the SEC.
Yeah, even when Peyton Thorne had a pretty good game last week against Oklahoma, he ends up, pick 6 in the fourth quarter. They just can't seem to avoid the big mistake. It looks like Hugh Freeze has gone back to Thorne instead of the redshirt freshman Hank Brown, who played well against New Mexico, but that was New Mexico, and they've kind of gone back to Thorne since then. This is a close game up in at Jordan-Hare last year, and that's really been in recent years. The home field has meant something here, so this is a lot of. That's why Georgia is such a big favorite here. Georgia has not, though, been a great point spread player the last couple of years, Ryan. They are under 500 actually against the spread because they're laying prices like this. You've got them off of the big letdown game against Alabama last week too. Auburn's not helpless, and I'm wondering if Hugh Freeze is coaching himself into a little trouble here if he doesn't win one of these games like this. I don't think he's going to win this one, but I don't think they're going to get wiped out here. That's sort of been Auburn under Freeze. They especially if Thorne can avoid big mistakes like last week. I don't think they're going to get killed here. Although last year a couple of times they did. LSU really ran up a score on them last year in Baton Rouge. But something tells me Auburn, and it's the oldest rivalry in the South, so it is a big game. They might hang within that number, so I might make a slight lean to Auburn at that sort of price.
Texas A&M's in the top 25. They're going to be hosting Missouri, which is in the top 10, 4-0, 1-0 in the SEC. Missouri goes on the road to Kyle Field. They go there as an underdog. Texas A&M minus the 2.5.
Yeah, the second half, I really thought Arkansas was going to get them last week, but then, the freshman quarterback we saw what Reed was able to do and come in there and like we saw in the previous game against Florida and Bowling Green, won those two. So it looks like, they're not missing Weigman all that much, but man, the second half last week, A&M was doing nothing until that late touchdown drive. So I think this is not going to be easy here. Mizzou, listen, it's a different deal for Mizzou this year because they're wearing a bigger target. Last year I thought that sort of helped them last year. They were sort of slipping by, and the schedule broke just right. They've really been challenged. They have not played a road game yet. But Brady Cook gives them a little bit more savvy and experience at quarterback than what they got on the A&M side. I do think having Elko for A&M has been a plus, and the defense is going to be pretty stout. But I like the experience of quarterback, the fact they've gone on the road and played well. I mean, they played a really good game at Georgia last year, too. And they really pushed the Bulldogs. They won the bowl game against Ohio State down in Dallas. I think Mizzou might get him here. I'm just still not quite sure how good Texas A&M is. Better than last year, but I still think Mizzou might be slight value here. I think they can win this thing on the road.
Ole Miss going to be taking on South Carolina. They have to load the buses and go to Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. South Carolina's the underdog here. It's Ole Miss on the road coming off the loss against Kentucky. It's -9.
I think that might be too much. South Carolina, now the word is Sellers might be ready to go at quarterback. Ashford has played. He played the last game against Akron. He came in late against LSU and has not looked bad. He'd been at Auburn before, and he's a little bit a runner than a passer, so we're not sure. But Sellers had started to pick things up after that bumpy opener against Old Dominion. And looking back, that one road game that South Carolina played in week 2 that stunned us all at the time when they took apart Kentucky, that's pretty darn impressive, and they really should have beat LSU too. So I think Shane Beamer's got something going there. I think we might want to start asking some questions about Ole Miss here, because there was no reason they should have been to be flat last week, and they've had a pretty soft non-conference schedule. And to get ready for an SEC opener, they basically had a whole month, and they just were not able to execute enough, especially offensively. Kentucky's defense pretty gnarly, and they stood up Ole Miss in the line of scrimmage. Ole Miss the way that game progressed, I didn't like the way they were reacting to a close game. I think this is going to be close here, and Ole Miss's veneer of invincibility was shattered last week by Kentucky. I wouldn't be surprised if South Carolina wins. I think this team might be very, very good. So I'll take the Gamecocks for sure. I might even consider a money line play in South Carolina. You get a really fat price there. They're capable of winning this game, so I would give them all the consideration.
Texas State and Troy. This is a Thursday night game that's scheduled for later this evening. Texas State -14. That game's going to be played in our state down at Troy, so a couple of hours away. Texas State -14.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving a lot of points here, and Troy has stepped back some with Summerall leaving, and Jared Parker, we haven't seen them quite fire on all cylinders, losing to ULM last week. By the way, that's a surprise story of the country. ULM's got 3 wins already this year. Their season win total is 1.5, so give Brian Vincent a lot of credit for turning around things down there in Monroe. But Troy is a far cry from last year, and they were the great point spread marks they had with Summerall. We're not seeing that yet with Parker. Texas State is interesting. They blew a game last week in Houston at the Texan Stadium against Sam Houston last week, and they had a big lead in that game, and Sam Houston came back on them late. But this team can still put up a lot of points. We saw them destroy Texas San Antonio earlier in the year. They could have beaten Arizona State. McLeod, the transfer quarterback, he's had success. It's 4th team in 4 years for him, but I like what G.G. Kinney is doing there, and I would probably lay it here at Texas State. I'm kind of against Troy right now. They're just seeming to underachieve, and Texas State has enough offense to extend this margin, so I'm kind of leaning to the Bobcats here.
Final couple of questions here. We're talking to Bruce Marshall, a professional handicapper, VegasInsider.com, VegasInsider.com, CBS Sportsline. Indiana, undefeated, 5-0, 2-0 the Big Ten. Northwestern, 2-2, 0-1 of the Big Ten. They go to Evanston, Illinois, Indiana -14.
This team might be really good, and they handled Maryland pretty well last week. First time they've been 5-0 since John Ponce's 1967 Rose Bowl team was 5-0. And by the way, that team in 67 is one of the great untold stories in college football annals. Bob Hamill, the great writer for the Bloomington Herald there, who wrote those Bob Knight books, told me about 15 years ago his only regret was he didn't write a book about Indiana's 67 Rose Bowl season. It's a great story, so maybe I'll pick it up from him. But you saw them last week take care of Maryland. They rolled through the non-conference part of the schedule. Curtis Rourke, the transfer quarterback from Ohio U, where he was back player of the year 2 years ago. They are really good. And Northwestern, the magic from last year is gone. They've been juggling the quarterbacks. I did not like them pulling Mike Wright out after the Duke game. David Braun, because Wright made a couple of mistakes in that game, that is that is anathema for this offense. But Lasha, the other quarterback, didn't do anything at Washington. This is a limited offense. I think Indiana goes in there in that different stadium they got there, temporary in Evanston on the Lake, and takes care of business. I'll lay points. And this is a go-with team. This might be the second best team in the Big Ten, and I mean that. I mean, Indiana is really good, so I'll take the Hoosiers and Kurt Cignetti on the road.
All right, I want to go back to the Big Ten, and I want to go to Rutgers and Nebraska. 4-0. I mean, this is hard to say. Rutgers 4-0, 1-0 in the Big Ten, and Nebraska maybe they've been able to flip the script here. Nebraska 4-1, 1-1 in the SEC. Excuse me, in the Big Ten. Nebraska minus the 7 in Lincoln. They are the favorite.
I think this might be too many points. Schiano's got these guys, and their pattern is about midseason. Each of the seasons he's been there, and that includes the first year, the COVID season, which was a limited season. The second half of the season, Rutgers has started to lose elevation, and that probably is because they start playing more conference games. But so far, that's what's happened. I mean, they've been hot. And a couple of nice wins. A nice win at home at Washington, which is down a bit this year. That's still a win. The win at Virginia Tech makes me think they can go in here to Nebraska, which is better. Matt Rule's turning that around. Rayola, the freshman quarterback, is the real deal. But this is a very gnarly Rutgers side here. The defense is real. Schiano's got these guys playing with a chip on their shoulder. They've been a very good underdog play with Schiano the last few years. This is a close game. Rutgers could win. I would not be shocked. So plus 7, 7.5, I'm taking the Scarlet Knights.
Bruce, tell me about how people can connect with you if they're looking for more information.
Thank you, Ryan. Check me out online, VegasInsider.com. We got picks up there, a little baseball tonight. We'll have a lot of football this weekend. Hey, good weekend in college and NFL last weekend. VegasInsider.com. My same picks are up there, and some other picks, too. CBS Sportsline, Sportsline.com, and my new ones, Winners and Winers, WHINERS.com, picksandparlays.com. I got picks all over the place, a lot of football and some baseball, too.
You know, I think I saw it earlier today, 56 days from now, for 56 days, we've got more football. That increases the workload, but it's kind of fun when it's spread out where we can focus on more games than just the Saturday afternoon games. Bruce Marshall is going to have you covered. Vegas Insider, CBS Sportsline. Hey, Bruce, thank you again for being a part of our show. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay, Ryan, you too.
Hey, thank you. All right, so we're going to go back. We've got coming up, we'll talk another guest in about 40 minutes. We're going to talk with Keelan Russell, 5-star quarterback out of Duncanville, Texas. We'll talk with him coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. He's going to finish up football practice. We're going to have a chance to feature him. Keelan Russell is going to be with us. Commitment to the University of Alabama. He was here for UGA, Alabama. We're going to take your phone calls. We welcome you right back into the game here in Tuscaloosa. Tide at 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. We're taking your phone calls. What do you want to see from this Alabama football team coming off of a big Georgia win? Now you got to go on the road against Vanderbilt. You heard Bruce Marshall say that he would probably lean the other way, Vanderbilt and the points. So we'll see if Brad Powers agrees with that coming up at 4 o'clock. Jackson, what do you want to see from this Alabama football team?
Well, I'd like to see consistency. If we can keep this train going, I think we'll be in good shape. I talked to Justice in my class this afternoon. My professor asked him...
Scoop in the classroom.
Yeah.
What class do you take with Justice?
Foundations of Entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So, pretty big class. But my professor asked him... about the Russian game, our Russian yards this week. Yeah. And he said... do we take the over on our rushing yards? And Justice said, well, I can't bet because the NCAA rules. But he said, I would take the over on our rushing yards.
Oh, Jackson's got the scoop. Jackson says take the over. Take the over based on one of his classmates. Okay. All right. So sure, he's probably got a few victory laps in there because his dad played at UGA. So
he also said that DeBoer doesn't use a lot of expletives in his language, but
don't do that. Don't stop. I know where you're going because I already know this, but I have not revealed that. Don't reveal it. Yeah. We can't let all the secrets out, Jackson. There was a word that was said pregame that got the whole team
That's
fired.
where I was going.
Okay. Yeah. Don't say that. That one slipped out. DeBoer used, and it was a small word, okay? It's not like Bama Nick wouldn't even acknowledge that that's a word, okay? But DeBoer has never, think about it. I mean, it was a little small word, very, very, very tiny word. Matter of fact, I used that word yesterday on the air, and I don't usually, I'm not one of those that cusses on the air. I'm not sure, that word is,
hit the dump button on you.
It's heaven or hell, right? Heaven or hell. So if you could read between the lines, there we go. Wayne and Destin. Wayne, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, Ryan.
It's amazing when a coach doesn't cuss and he uses a word, he gets the whole team fired up. But, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody looking for something, huh?
Yeah. But he got them fired up. So,
well, Paul got me fired up. I've been walking and pacing around in my garage and lifting weights, listening to him. Then I get,
let me say this. I've got a lot of compliments out of Paul's call, but I did get, I got some criticism too. And I asked the guy, I said, you're more than welcome to stay on and off the air in the break. And he wanted to vent his frustration, and I let him. I said, no problem.
I'm fired up. Yeah, I'm fired up. Ryan, I mean, what he brought out to me is, my generation is a little bit ahead of yours. When they took prayer out of the schools, you start looking at what's going on, and, I mean, it's amazing. You can tie it all back to that. Look at the Israelis. You got people right now that are even Christians that want to see Israel fail, and they don't even understand that the Bible says if we protect them, God protects us. It's just basic stuff that people don't know. It's amazing to me in my generation, from when I was in high school to now, that people don't know anything about what's going on in the world. It's just amazing. But sorry, get sidetracked there, probably get in trouble. But that's what I love about you. You're a born-again Christian. And it's good to hear our side of the story every once in a while.
Yeah, well, I was looking for a job when I found this one. So,
that's right.
I mean,
he won't have you there one more day than you're supposed to be, right?
Yeah, I'm here for a reason. I'm going to stand on the platform that I'm given. I'm not going to shake. And
Andy gets his beach days.
Yeah. I get a few beach days too. Yeah.
I'm gonna get him some deer days out in Kansas where it's over too. So, all right, here's what I want to go over with you real quick. I've been listening, since the win and everything, and some of the things that have popped up that you bought on your radio show, if you'll remember. I think people forget that this offense and this defense, they're learning this thing. This is a whole new deal from Coach Saban, and they're learning on the job, and they get better and better. But if you'll remember, right before we played Georgia, you played an excerpt from Coach DeBoer, and he said, you know what? He goes, Jalen's just understanding the offense. The light came on. Do you remember him saying that?
I do.
He said the light came on. He's understanding the offense. Well, they're going to keep adding.
And Jackson, you can find the audio clip. It's from the DeBoer post-game. It was after the South Florida game.
I thought it was after the bye week, because he said, look.
Maybe that's where it was at. It was after the bye week. It was after the bye week. I'm trying to think. He said something like that after the South Florida game that we've been seeing it. Yeah. But, go back to Monday. We'll find the audio, because I think it's worth going back and repeating.
Yeah, he just said that. So I wanted you to just think. We played Georgia. Their team knows their defense and offense for years. Our guys have gone from one way you call a play, one type of defense. You interview the defensive players, and they go, "Oh yeah, we like this defense. It's new." They don't know all 100% of that defense. They're learning it on the job. To me, it's no different. I run, I've got my 100-ton license. I run big yachts, and I've got my pilot's license. I fly airplanes. If you get on a new boat, if I jump on a 60-footer, and I've been running a 40-footer, the drift on the boat when I'm backing into a dock with twin engines, every boat's different. So you have to learn the boat. They're learning the offense. And on top of that, your little guy that's the nerd guy, the college football nerd, when he said he thought he had them figured it out, that hit a light with me. Think about it. That's brilliant, because Jalen can't see the field as good and doesn't know the offense to the point that Sheridan can say, okay, look, you're one-on-one on the right, the safety's cheating to the left, go there. I think there's something to that, too. Now, I just wanted to throw that at you and see what you thought about that.
Okay. I do think that there's something that's connect. I thought when Josh said what he did about College Football Nerds, what a luxury it is when you can take a quarterback and you could talk to him. I don't care if you're, A.J. McCarron was probably the best quarterback that I've ever seen that could read a defense here at Alabama. Mm-hmm. Now, he may have not had the skill set that some of these other quarterbacks have been able to, but where he beat you was on film study. He studied so much film, and he could read a defense like that. I mean, literally like that. Jim McElwain said, Jim McElwain's been around a lot of great quarterbacks. He said it was simply, that was one of his greatest characteristics. He may have not had the cannon of arm. AJ's arm is, maybe slightly above average, but someone probably even might rule it below average. But it was reading the defense. But if you can think about whispering in the ear of a quarterback from an offensive coordinator saying, hey, this is what they're trying to do. This is what they're trying to do. Snap the football. What a benefit. I don't care who you are. I mean, if it's Tua Tagovailoa, if it's A.J. McCarron, whatever. Yeah. I mean, if you could talk to a college quarterback up until when the ball's snapped, and what they're doing is snapping the football at 15, man, that's brilliant. That's a step ahead of the competition.
It is. And the other thing I wanted to say, and you can pull it up again, that you had, you're having all his excerpts on your show and you're asking questions. Go back to what Caleb said, and it was a while back, I can't tell you, but he said, listen, when I build the offense, we build it, we play a team. They react to our offense. And he said, then we react to what they're doing. I've listened to all these guys since we beat Georgia and said, oh, they've got it figured out. Even Christian, Daddy was saying, well, Georgia figured it out and they like to beat you. Well, you don't believe that we're going to run that exact same offense the next time we play if we play Georgia. Caleb said it. He said, I changed everything.
I'm gonna go out on a limb on this. Okay.
Yep.
I think this learning thing that Kalen DeBoer last Saturday was beneficial for the players, but I think it was just as beneficial to Kalen DeBoer. Because in this league, you can't get by with things that you can get with in other leagues, okay? And that's not being disrespectful to the Pac-12. It's just, I think Kalen will look at it now and say, you know what, we got to put our foot on their throat and stomp them out. Now, listen, Kalen DeBoer is a nice guy. We were just talking about it with Jackson, where he used a little small word in the pregame locker room speech that just, the players went crazy. I'm talking about it was a word because they hadn't heard him use anything, and it wasn't a big word. It was just a little small word, but it's almost he's too much of a nice guy, right? He's friendly, he's humble. You heard him on the press conference, on the coaches show last night. There's this idiot call in, and he handled it with class, right? It was just perfect, beautiful class. He's too nice of a guy to even, throw any stones. But I think really going back, he learned a lot against that Georgia game. That this is a league that you can't play with. That's why I like Alabama this weekend. I think Alabama's going to respond. I think Alabama is going to answer the call of being the team that we think they're capable of being.
I believe it. I believe you. I agree 100%.
And if I'm wrong, serve me some crow. So
you think if they come out and show them who's boss this week, that exemplifies and reiterates that number one seeding?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think they're going to play up to the standard that is Alabama Crimson Tide football. And I think Kalen DeBoer. Yeah.
And not only him, the assistant coaches. You remember, you're the one that got the guy that said we had the best coaching group in the entire nation. Yeah. It's coming out, and they're not going to let them have a letdown. You listen to Sheridan and them; those guys are on top of it.
Well, and you talk about the best coaching staff. You know how I judge a coaching staff? How they can get younger players to feel comfortable in their system and confident enough that they can go out there and make plays like Xavier Brown and Ryan Williams. Tells me all I need to know about the coaching. I don't have to know anything else. You can watch how they get younger players comfortable to play significant roles. You got young players all up and down that roster playing in not just mop-up duty, but in crucial situations. That's a trust factor. And these players will continue to grow from that, Wayne. It's a reason to be excited. But, hey, listen, anytime I need to take a few days off and go to Kansas and, with a deer rifle, you let me know. I'm in.
Yeah, rifle hunting. I know. I'll talk to you about that offline.
Okay.
All right, but thanks. You for
House dockside. Went up, took my buddies from North Star. Appreciate those guys. No doubt, great medics, and always fun to be able to pick their brain about a lot of different things, man. But it's been a good morning around medical professionals. So it's good to sit around and talk a little football. They love football too, but. And I had 2 doctor's appointments today, 2 doctor's appointments this morning. Had a regular physician and then a podiatrist appointment on my toe surgery that I had last week. So
they tell you to lay off that sweet tea?
No, I'm not on sweet tea. I'm on half and half, Jackson. Don't be trying to get me in trouble, man. You want to see my receipt from Chick-fil-A? You want to see?
I need to send that to your doctor.
What is those 2 buttons right there? One T says diet. Does it not?
Yep.
It's half and half. Half and half. That's what it is. It's half and half. Don't be trying to throw me under the bus. Half and half. Now we'll see. I got some blood work drawn. So, my doctor said, keep up the good work.
Is it 50-50 or is it 60-40?
It could be 60-40. I'd rather, but I mean, listen, I don't need to confuse Chick-fil-A any more than I'm already confusing. 50-50 is a challenge, man. Even though it's on their app, 50-50, I get 50% sweet tea, 50% lemonade. I get 50% Splenda lemonade. It's kind of like a roll your dice. You don't ever know. I mean, it could be 50% water, 50% unsweet tea. But here lately, we've been very consistent on my 50-50. I'd love to say 60-40, 70-30. I almost like to do it myself because I have now moved beyond the 50-50. I prefer more unsweet, than I do sweet because the sweet, once you get the taste out of your mouth, it's the acclimated to the unsweet. It's actually it's not bad. You can taste the real tea, not just the sugar water.
You're making progress.
I'm making progress. Let's continue with more phone calls, and we go to Bubba in Northport. Bubba, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well, my friend.
It's all well, my friend. How's it going?
Oh, good, man. I'm having a great day.
I didn't get to call in yesterday, but I sure did. I always enjoy Josh from College Football Nerds. You can take what he says to the bank pretty much.
He's amazing. Josh is one of our best guests. And we have a lot of great guests, man. I love them all.
Oh, yeah, all of them are good. But he's one of my he's in my top 2 easy.
Yeah.
Him and Rodney Old. So I always make sure I hear Rodney on all the shows. But I wanted to talk about this game coming up Saturday. I'm looking for, again, that statement game. Go up there, punch them in the mouth, step them on the throat until the jock straps pop off. So that's what kind of game I'm looking for.
Man.
And get out of there.
So let me repeat that now. Step on their throat, cut their jock straps off. What was it again?
No, I said step on their throats until their jock straps fall off. So that means grind them in the ground.
I'm trying to visualize that. Step on their throat until their jock strap falls off. Okay.
I'm saying is I want a beat down. I mean a major beat down.
Okay, on the road in front of because it's not really a hostile environment. It'll be majority Alabama fans.
Oh, absolutely. It will. It's a lot of folks. I know a lot of folks, callers on your show are going, Pat and Ellis, and there's several people making that trip. But I didn't know if you knew this or not. Did you know that some of the high schools are going to morning practices? Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, County High practices in the morning, and they have varsity football in the first block, so they can just go on to class after first period. So,
yeah, I
thought that was amazing.
So
I think it's a great idea.
So County High is doing morning practices?
3 out of their 4 are mornings.
Okay.
And I heard some others were, I'm not real sure. I just thought that was amazing that they taken that concept too And I bet you a lot of the
they'll everything kind of works this way up. I mean, there's a lot of things to high school football that college started implementing. I mean, we saw a lot of these college coaches, these high school coaches promoted to college coaches. We're seeing kind of a influx of their offense. I mean, there's some creative minds out there in the offensive game.
Oh, yeah. And I wanted to make one more statement before I get off. This offense we have now would score 50 on last year's defense. Easy.
Man, you brought up a really good point. I don't know. Ton. Yeah, we would not. We would not be able to stop. Yeah, we would not be able to stop. No. We would not be able to stop. And, I was watching, we had some great defensive backs. Kool-Aid McKinstry down with the Saints. Terrion Arnold is having some rookie growing pains with Detroit. But I still think he's going to be fine. So, but.
Yeah, the way Terrion's playing, it's not unexpected to see that from a rookie corner.
It's just part of it.
But, he's also lighting it up. He's doing everything they need him to do.
He'll be fine. I like Detroit, by the way. Hey, Bubba, thank you, man. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Hey, we'll come back. We're going to take, let's go 205-342-9904. Try to squeeze in one more call on the other side of the break. Let me tell you about The Wharf. It is the work in Western wear for the entire family since 1976. All the items that you need, whether you're looking for Justin, Tony Lama, Red Wing, Georgia, Double H, Timberline, Laredo, and many more. It is the Wharf, the work in Western wear for the entire family. Carhartt clothing, Rocky clothing, Under. At the top of the hour, but I want to go back. Wayne and Destin brought up the comment about Kalen DeBoer talking about Jalen Milroe and something he said in the bye week. Let's go back and reflect upon that because I thought it was a really good audio clip, and it was great pointing it out from Wayne and Destin. We appreciate you listening down in the beautiful Panhandle and a beautiful Emerald Coast. Let's continue here. Kalen DeBoer talking about Jalen Milroe and the steps that he's taken in the right direction.
I think about some touchdown throws that he's made. K-Law in the first game, scrambling on the run. The one to Prentice this week, stepping up in the pocket. I think those are things that I've seen where he's really improved. He had a scramble to Dupree where he hit him along the sideline. I thought there was another one that he did a really good job, and some other guys could have worked with him a little bit better on a scramble drill. He went to the right, hit Germ on a scramble. And so I think eyes down the field and playing that game that he can play because people are worried about his legs, where he can run and take off, or he can draw the attention to him and throw it. I think that's been great. When we give him looks where he can make decisions, because there's a lot of times 2-3 choices where he can make, whether it's throw a ball to the perimeter, run a running play. He might even keep it. I think he's getting better with every rep that we do it, whether it's in practice or the games. You're seeing that show up, and we want those options because he can do it with his arms and his legs. And the throw and the touchdown to Ryan Williams, that opportunity to just rip it out there. That's something I think when we first started in spring ball, and I think saw it in fall camp where he was getting more and more comfortable. It's not just confidence in yourself, it's confidence in the guys that are around you. And I think that's the key, and so he's developing that. We're talking through every little detail, not just with him, but we're talking it through with the other positions so that trust can happen on the practice field. We're intentional with that. And so he's I thought again this week he made more strides with check and protections with confidence. We can continue to work on that. He had to run around a little bit at times more than we'd like, but there's a number of factors that come into play. It's not just the offensive line; it's the whole group. And I think the areas you can continue to improve. I think we just continue to work together with him to shape and mold. And I think almost every year, I don't care if it's an offense you've been with and you're in year 2 or year 3 or more. I think there's an evolution, where you have different personnel than the year before. And right now we're continuing to find exactly what works for us, what that rhythm is, what he's exactly comfortable with. We aren't going to run something that I think he does a good job of talking and giving us feedback on what he likes and what he maybe is a little bit, hey, let's try to hold off on that as we go through the week. And I love that. I love that, because if there's any question in any player's mind, but especially the quarterback, let's hold off on it. And that's few and far between, but he's done a good job of just giving us feedback on what he saw and knowing that we can work together to help, get him in the spots that he really wants to be in. So I think we're making progress, great progress.
That was a great comment. That was a couple of weeks ago. Wayne and Destin wanted us to replay that. I thought it was great. That is. All right, we welcome you right back into the game. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Scotland Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. Buy 3 tires, get that 4th tire for only $1. Don't pay those high rental car prices. Tuscaloosa Toyota. Call today and reserve your rental today at 205-561-2043. 3325 Scotland Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. We've been cooking crow, all week. Jackson, do you still have any of that crow over there listed? I'm looking.
I got a whole bag back here.
Okay. Well, I thought we were fresh out. Anyway, I don't think we need it for our next guest because Brad Powers 7, BradPowersSports.com. Brad, how are you? Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, guys, I'm full.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
Not looking to eat any. Hey. I had enough on Saturday night.
Hey, Brad, let me say this. There was moments, because I thought this game was going to be 7 to 8 points. I thought Alabama would win. There was moments in that first half like, oh, my Lord, my audience is going to kill me on Monday, because they were large and I was very, very small. I was like, okay, small, 8, 9, 10 points. I thought I was going to have to eat crow, but George has saved me, I guess.
I know your audience. Hopefully they were betting Alabama then left and right by the sound of it. Hopefully some alternatives lines. But I didn't have that game flow in the script. I'm not sure, most didn't. Alabama racing out the 28-point lead and, literally almost losing the game outright. That was a very stunning game by a bunch of different metrics, but kudos. Obviously, Kalen DeBoer had Alabama prepared. Jalen Milroe played about as well at the quarterback position, at least through the first 20 minutes of the game, as good as anybody can ever play it. So that was enough, and obviously they got the big play. I went on here and questioned, what's going to happen when Ryan Williams faces some adversity. Well, obviously he didn't face much because he's that good of a player. So lots to like if you're a Crimson Tide fan, obviously.
Brad, do you think Jalen Milroe's the front runner right now, coming out of the month of September for the Heisman Trophy?
Oh, no question. Yeah, and if you don't even believe me, the Heisman market says so. So there's no question that he's, if he continues to perform like that and Alabama goes 12-0 in the regular season, there's your Heisman Trophy winner.
Do you think it's realistic to go 12-0 in this league? Because they got Tennessee on the road. That's the one that we're kind of looking at. No, I didn't want to get negative during this segment, but okay. I still worry about that Alabama defense a little bit. So they're young.
Yeah, they made the plays when they had to, but Tennessee's passing offense, the offense in particular, would scare me a little bit. And then, I don't think LSU's ever a layup in Baton Rouge. So, right now, I think it's obviously very doable, but. If you're telling me, it's more likely 11-1 or 12-0, I'm going to tell you 11-1 is more likely.
Okay. All right. But that would get them in the playoffs at that point. So you look at the.
They're in the play. Have you seen that market? They're like,
no, I haven't.
$12 to win $1.
So what is it?
Yeah, they are. I saw as high as like 12 minus 1,200, meaning you have to bet $1,200 to win 100 that Alabama makes the playoffs. Keep in mind, coming into the season, there were some markets that had Alabama as an underdog to make the playoff.
Man, Kalen DeBoer, 6-0 against some of these top coaches is just incredible. Coming off the bye week, go back and look at his bye week record coming off the bye week. It's crazy when you think about Kalen DeBoer, 6-0 against Sark, Dan Lanning, and Kirby Smart.
and an underdog in all 6 of those games. That's the kicker. I mean, 6-0 against really great coaches, but was he? Saban was always favored in a bunch of those games, and yet Kalen DeBoer's underdog in every single one of those matchups, and yet won them outright. So I can't take credit for this, but one of the tweets I saw on Saturday night was Alabama basically replaced the greatest of all time with the best coach in college football right now. And we did both say that. If you're asking us who would you rather have for the next 5 years, Nick Saban or Kalen DeBoer, did say Kalen DeBoer because we thought Saban had lost his fastball the last couple of years down the stretch.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that Nick Saban was frustrated, but he kept looking over there to be able to take something that you've built and to be able to enhance it. Because the problem that Coach Saban had was hiring assistant coaches. When you go to this Kalen DeBoer coaching staff, it's one of the best in the country. I mean, and I don't know if they'll be able to keep all these guys together because now everybody's going to be coming after Kalen DeBoer's assistant coaches once the year is up.
Well, I mean, particularly, Womack has already been a head coach.
Sure.
It'd be tough hanging on to him. Obviously, I think you're going to get the offense coordinator for a couple more years just because he's still a little young. But they'll be trying to get after that staff. But I mean, all Kalen DeBoer does is win anywhere he goes, whether he's assistant, whether he's a head coach. Doesn't matter if it's in the MAC or the Division II or the Pac-12 or the SEC. I stand by it. He's probably the best coach in college football right now.
You've been saying it for a while. Brad Powers right now joining us. Let's talk about on the road. How is this team going to respond? They go to Vanderbilt. They go there as a major favorite, 22.5. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's definition of a flat spot. Obviously, Vanderbilt's off a bye. Vanderbilt's been feisty already this year, almost beating Mizzou the last time we saw them. I thought the number would be a little higher. So I could bet Vandy. It's not there, and I bet numbers, not teams. I mean, if you're asking me what I would prefer to bet, it'd probably be more on the Alabama side. But I got to check. I don't think there's expected to be any weather. Total keeps coming down. It's 54 in some spots now. I like over. I mean, I got 2 mobile quarterbacks. This is not Nick Saban's Alabama, where, I mean, there's a ton of people I respected that were betting the under in that Georgia game last week. I'm like, this is a totally different Alabama. So that game script is going to be a little different. So I'm on over 54 in this game. That's my one of my favorite total bets.
I like that as well, since you pointed it out. And as far as the weather, I can look real quick, but I don't think we're expected to have anything. I think it's just going to be going to be hot here in the South. I mean, we're in the upper 80s today. Saturday in Nashville, it's only a 9% chance of rain. 87's the high, low is 62. It'll never get there, but 86 87 in the afternoon. No, it's dry conditions. So
and heat actually is more towards the over. You cramp up on defense, got to chase around. But you got 2 mobile quarterbacks. Look, I expect Vanderbilt's offense with Diego Pavia to give Alabama's defense a little bit of fit. So I mean, obviously Alabama's going to win this game, but I don't think it's but it might be a little bit slow out of the gates, where Vanderbilt's pretty pesky early. So Vanderbilt moved on Missouri. They missed some field goals. They certainly moved on Virginia Tech. So again, over the totals where I'm at on this game.
All right, let's talk about another game that we impacted. Georgia has got revenge on their mind, 3-1, 1-1 in the SEC. They take it on Auburn minus the 23 at home.
A lot of money continuing to come in on Auburn here. What Georgia team we get in the first half or the second half? Second half, I wouldn't want to play that team. I can't buy into Auburn. I know metrically everything looks good for them, except with the most key metric, that being, besides winning losses, turnovers. I mean, you can't take care of the football. How can I? I mean, when it comes to against the spread, everyone asks me, well, what's the most key factor, and everybody has these advanced stats, these success rates and EPA and all this stuff. Actually, the most important stat when it comes to who covers the spread in a football game, who wins the turnover battle. I cannot trust Auburn in that area. So right now, if push came to, I haven't bet it, but I would lean towards Georgia.
Georgia minus the 23. Ole Miss, South Carolina. Ole Miss coming off the loss against Kentucky. They go to Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. They go there as a favorite, minus the 9.
Really depends on the mindset of Ole Miss. I mean, I keep hearing, there's a little bit of smoke to the rumors about Lane. And obviously that wasn't a clean performance last week, to say the least. South Carolina's a tough place to play, but I can't get over the fact that Ole Miss's defensive line, you look at them metrically as far as, sacks, tackles for loss, success rates, yards per carry allowed, one of the best in the country. South Carolina's offensive line can't protect the quarterback, 16 sacks allowed. I know Sellers is back, but he takes sacks. He holds on to the football too long. I bet Ole Miss this week.
I want to take you to Clemson and Florida State. Clemson minus the 14.5 in Tallahassee. Florida State probably been one of the biggest disappointments of the year. Clemson seems to have found their mojo a little bit, 3-1, 2-0 in the ACC.
Yeah, I don't know if it was sticker shock. I bet on Florida State early in the week at 14.5. I just was stunned to see a number that high with them. Keep in mind, just before the season, you could have bet this game at about 5 or 6 different sports books, and Florida State was a 4-point favorite. And now they're more than a 2-touchdown underdog. I mean, I tend to gravitate towards the dog in that situation, but there's not a lot you can hang your hat on if you're a Florida State backer at this point. You mentioned the most disappointing team. They are the most disappointing team because, they entered the season as ACC favorites, and right now you had to, pinpoint, hey, what's their record going to be when it's all said and done? 3-9, 4-8 is probably the most likely scenario, considering they still have Clemson, Miami, Notre Dame. It goes on and on and on. You can't beat, Memphis and Boston College and Georgia Tech. You're not beating those 3 teams. So this is going to get pretty ugly. I'll go under now that I've thought about the matchup a little bit more. Under 46.5 for me.
I want to take you to Washington. UW's going to be hosting Michigan. Michigan 4-1, 2-0 in the Big Ten. Washington 1-1 in the Big Ten, 3-2. Jed Fish has done a pretty decent job out there. Washington minus 2.5 in Seattle.
Yeah, he has. I know they got 2 losses, but probably shouldn't. They were statistically better than Washington State. And I can tell you for a fact they were way better than Rutgers last week. They missed 3 field goals. They got stopped on downs at the 2-yard line. Rutgers missed a field goal. There's a ridiculous penalty where a Washington player from the sidelines comes onto the field, gives them a first down. Rutgers scores a touchdown on the next play. That's 7 points. So what I'm getting at is I think Washington's undervalued. Michigan, in my opinion, is a little overvalued. Fortunate to win the USC game, to say the least, and then fortunate with they should have beaten Minnesota, but reality was Minnesota could have had the ball, getting it back after an onside kick recovery, and that was a bad call by the officials. So I like Washington here quite a bit. And one of the games we talked about, that would be my best bet.
Tennessee, Arkansas plus the 13.5 at home in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
I'm going to go over the total. It's down to 57. I think Tennessee, put the offense away purposely against Oklahoma. They didn't need to do anything. I think Arkansas has mobility at the quarterback position. It could give Tennessee secondary some fits if they can't get to them always. That great defensive line for Tennessee. So I like over 57.
Miami, California. Miami minus the 10 out in Berkeley.
Yeah, if that's the line you got, 10's a pretty good number because it's right around a key number, and most of the market's 10.5. So I have laid 10 with Miami. I think they got their scare last week. I know game day's going to be there, and Cal's off a bye and all this. I think you get Miami a little bit more focused than what they were last week, and if that's the case, I think 10's a little cheap.
Hey, Brad, I know that college football is your wheelhouse, but any thoughts on the evening NFL action, Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons from a local perspective? Got a lot of Atlanta Falcon fans in our area. It's Atlanta minus the 2.5 at home against the Bucs.
Yeah, I didn't bet the side. I lean towards the under. These Thursday night games are kind of ugly. I don't know if you've seen them. They're just with half the prep time. You don't get your A game as far as X's and O's. So under 44 for me, a division game where they're pretty familiar with one another. I don't have much interest in that one. If you're looking for something maybe sneaky, I'm not saying it's best bet material, but I think there's some variance here. I like UTEP tonight, plus 10.5, but I think put a little, $5 hot and ready pizza bet on them on the money line.
Okay.
Because they're off a bye. Sam Houston's traveling on a short week. Sam Houston probably had one of their biggest wins in school history last week. They rallied from 22 points down late, upset Texas State. It's a really bad spot for Sam Houston State tonight. UTEP winless, 0-4, you're like, oh, they're not going to win a game. They lost to an FCS team. I think that's the old Lee Corso, that old team sneaking around the chicken coop, that Fox, plus 10.5 UTEP.
Hey, what's the money line on that UTEP game?
You can find, plus 330 out there, as high as plus 330. So again, I'm not saying, put the mortgage on it. I'm just saying, you want something fun, that I think has at least a better than usual chance for a typical 10.5 point underdog. I think this is one to take a flyer on.
Brad, month into the season, people realize that they need help. You can find that help at Brad Power Sports. I love the newsletter. I was going through that today. It's a lot of meat and potatoes, man. If you're just a college football fanatic like we are in Tuscaloosa, if you're looking to maybe find the extra advantage, it's Brad Power Sports. Brad Powers 7 on the Twitter account puts up a lot of content right there. We have people that call in all the time talking about some of the things that you say there on your Twitter account. But Brad Power Sport, the newsletter, comprehensive. I mean, Brad, you go through every single game, do you not, on the newsletter?
Yeah, every single game, college and pro. Write it up.
That is a lot of writing, my friend. That is a lot of writing, but a lot of content. Brad Powers Sports, and Brad Powers 7 on the Twitter account. Brad, thank you again for being a part of our show. We'll talk to you next week on Boulevard. And last night, I had a chance to go over to Elgron, and I said, you know what, I got to try two things. Wanted to try the option with the Coach Dana Bowl, which is named after our former gymnast, and then the Jose Bowl. Now, Joe, I don't know if you're out there listening. He could be. I know he was practicing for some baseball earlier today or earlier this week, so up in Nashville. But the Jose Bowl is named after Joe. So you got Joe and Dana both have a dish named after them because they're one of their favorite restaurants. But it's more than just that. It's the Mexican cuisine, the great specials that you can find, the daily luncheon specials, McFarland Boulevard, 62 McFarland Boulevard, and then Winn-Dixie Shopping Center, open until 9:30 this evening. If you're looking for some great Mexican cuisine, let me invite you to go see Elgron. And, hey, appreciate those guys. Carlos for being a part of our show. Catering options as well. And we'll talk more about giving away some gift cards tomorrow. How about that? Hey, fighting for you guys. Robert in Mobile. Robert, good afternoon. You're in the game. How are you, man? Hey, Robert.
Hey, you'd ask your last guest about Jalen Miller on the Heisman front running. And I remember talking to Corey and Christian Miller yesterday about I think Corey said that he thinks Alabama should do a campaign, start a campaign for Jalen for Heisman. And I called and disagree with him a little bit. I can't disagree with him too much because he is Corey Miller. and disagreed a bit. I don't think we need Jalen Hurts. Miller needs a Heisman campaign. He's like you just said. He is the front runner, and it's his to lose. Don't think. And so, but I did agree with him. A campaign is just fun to do. Get the fans enthused and whatever. So we should do it for that reason alone because it's probably fun. Pushing your player for Heisman or whatever they do to do that.
Well, and let me say this. As a Heisman voter, we get a lot of stuff in the mail, okay? A lot of stuff. And it'll be promotional material. Sometimes it's something, like a bobblehead or, something to maybe show the stats. We got a PlayStation game a couple of weeks ago, or I call it a PlayStation game. Maybe it's an Xbox. I don't have a gaming system, or I guess we have in our household, but I don't play it. I'm not even sure what we have, Nintendo or something. Anyways, but I don't play. But it's we got a PlayStation game from I believe the Boise State guy. It sent its stuff, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, this is before the season ever started, but it does make a little impression. But Alabama's never been one of those. It's never been one of those that pushed Heisman winners. It's never been one of those that pushed Heisman. I mean, it's just almost like Alabama does not send out anything. They might send out a stat sheet, but that's about it.
Like last year when the LSU quarterback was out there, if he was still playing and they were still doing the same thing, maybe you might want to push it then. But, Jalen Mills had a statement game against Georgia, and he's going to be in some of the biggest marquee games of the season still with Tennessee and most likely either Texas or Georgia in the SEC championship game. They got two more marquee games after the last marquee game to make us out. No one else in college football is going to come anywhere near that. And if he balls out in those games, I mean, it's over. There's no chance for anyone else. So, you can push it, but, just because it may be fun, but he doesn't need it. It's
Alabama. It's Alabama. I mean, the script A pushes you the campaign. I mean, the campaign's not needed, but it's going to be a ton of fun to see these guys, walk our way through this, to be able to, and you know what? I mean, I said this, Robert, last year. I voted Jalen Milroe third on my Heisman ballot last year. Because I thought where Alabama would be without him, who knows? We wouldn't have been in the Rose Bowl, I can promise you that.
And that's a testament to what we would hope that the board would do, is to get Jalen Milroe to his ceiling. The fact that he's even now, it's the fifth game, or now what's the fifth game? The 5 games. Now he's the Heisman front runner.
Yeah, four.
Yeah,
it's week games. 5. Week 5. Well, it's going into week 6. But and I think I voted Michael Penix was second last year, and then I voted Daniels number 1. I mean, I just thought from an impressive standpoint what he'd be able to do. So I voted Daniels 1. Michael Penix 2. I mean, the stats he put up at UW, not just last year, I voted him third the year prior. Because, the stats, even before I knew who Kalen DeBoer was, the stats speak for itself. They don't lie. I think he had 49 touchdowns and 3 or 4 interceptions. It was not very much. And you look at Jalen Milroe, the 1 interception that he has this year was a bobbled ball. It's almost like it counts, but it's not like he threw it directly. We're seeing a transformation that
not like an Auburn quarterback. no interception.
Does Auburn even have a quarterback? Do they? They went from 2 Heisman front runners, and now they are really struggling. Robert, you live in an area that's got a few Auburn fans. What's the bug saying?
They're saying they're waiting for basketball season. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Their hope is that the thrill is gone. The old B.B. King song, the thrill is gone.
And we just got to make sure that we stick our foot on their throat. When we fear the thumb, run them completely out of the stadium.
It's what the board does next year in the Iron Bowl that I think is going to be the telling tale. I hate we're not playing in Auburn this year, because the voodoo dolls just aren't worth a lick. So we got the voodoo dolls out of whack, and we're not going to go to their house of horrors this year. But now next year, they'll probably have those voodoo dolls clicking on all cylinders again. But we'll see what the board does next year.
And Hugh could be coaching for his job. If he's not already, if he goes 0-3 against Alabama, I don't care what a buyout, unstability, 0-3 against Alabama because they live in our shadow, they'll fire him. And who knows? They may be working on a scandal right now. That's just who it is. I heard on a national radio show, they said the most toxic jobs in the SEC. This is a cloud that you do not want hanging over your program, was Florida and Auburn. Because both of them have administration problems. They have got it right here, and I just don't see Auburn flipping the script. I think they've always bought their way out of trouble. When Alabama was kicking them in the teeth, what'd they do? They went out and bought Cam Newton, and they won a national title and really knocked down the door of the NCAA.
I think my players legally now.
But the problem is everybody's doing it. Auburn did that to separate themselves. Right. Now everybody's doing it. Like I said, Robert, you work for a good company. If I offered you a little bit more money to go to the worst company in your industry, would you take it? Because that's what Auburn's selling. That's what Auburn's selling. Yeah. Auburn is saying, you come here, it's a mess. We don't know if we're going to be here next year, but we're going to have to pay you a little bit of money. So you have to go to the worst organization. So
what I'm looking for in the game is I do not want Milroe to be anywhere near the leading rusher in this next game. I want the running backs design runs, no option, design runs, and our running backs go off the chain. Milroe, I want him to get his passing. but the run, I don't want to be anywhere near the leading rusher in this next game. Design run, let the running backs do their thing. No option. Murrow only runs if the pocket breaks down and he's got to get out of trouble. That's the only time I want to see him running. And him sit in the pocket and do his thing there. I want the running backs to go off, so I'm real looking for them to go off. And I'm looking for that defense. All right, guys, it's mostly your fault that Georgia still thinks they can beat. Georgia can still feel somewhat good about that last game. We could have had a chance to really put them under, and we didn't. We let them back, and there's too many defensive options, and all those 4 downs, that was kind of not good. So I want you guys to redeem yourself too. I'm looking for that also. So I'm looking for the running back to come off, and I'm looking for the defense to no more than 13 points. That's what I'm looking for.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate you, Robert.
All right, man.
Thank you. And tomorrow we will do an SEC Parlay Pick Contest presented by Brian Harden Construction, ASME certification, I-beam installation, fabrication. If you're building for the ground up, let's build something together. We'll do our SEC Parlay Pick Contest, and we're going to give away some of those great things from Daniel Moore, 2025 calendar. Thank you, guys. And I just mentioned a couple of seconds ago, we will also give you away a gift card. Steve in Montreal, Canada. Blueberry Steve, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well, man.
All is well, Ryan. All is well. Celebrating Jewish New Year's today. Shana Tova to all the Jewish people out there.
And we have a young man that's part of our listening group. That is Jewish, so we celebrate that.
Simon.
With you. Yeah, we sure do. Yep.
Yeah. How much time do I have, Ryan? I always ask you that question.
30 seconds.
I don't want to. 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
I'm just kidding.
I'm cutting into Brown the next time.
Yeah, a few minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll try and make this as quick as I can. Robert is right about limiting Jalen's running time. I'd like to see that also. I told you last time. I also think Ryan and I think that Ryan Williams and Jalen will both be in New York for the Heisman. Obviously, Jalen is number one, but this kid Ryan, 17 years old. I don't know. I've never seen anything like this. People have been watching football a lot longer than me. Have never seen anything like this. So let's just hope and pray. Ryan, I heard earlier that some people were talking against Paul. Now I missed his call. Can you just summarize for me what I missed? Why people were upset about Paul?
He's very upset. He is very upset about North Carolina. He thinks that when you look at the devastation over there, that our government should be doing more to help our own people out. $750 for people that have literally totally lost everything that they own. And you see the videos, man, they're so sad. I mean, it's...
So I know the North Carolina area very well. I know the Mooresville area very well. Lake Norman area, Pineville, Asheville. I know all that area. And really, really, really good people. A lot of good friends there, And he's right. Listen, you've got that clown Mayorkas running. He's the same. I don't want to get carried away on that. But first of all, I just want to say, Paul, generally speaking, I had the opportunity, you introduced me to him when I was down in Tuscaloosa for the game last year, the LSU game. He's become, I consider him a good friend, as I do you. I consider him a good friend. And, Ryan, on Tuesday when they started, Iran started shooting rockets at Israel, one of the first texts that I got was from Paul, because he knows that I have family there. And so, yeah. He's right about everything. He's right about about the bugs, but he's right about the political situation. And so I stand with Paul 100%. When it
as
comes
a lot of us do.
I know. And Ryan, honestly, who stands to gain by what Iran is doing? They're trying to kill Trump because they want Kamala to win. They're trying to destroy Israel because they want to take over the whole Middle East. Their proxies, Hezbollah, have killed thousands of people, innocent people, hundreds of American soldiers, the U.S. Embassy, the U.S. Marine Barracks. These are evil, evil people. So I'm just going to leave off of this call. I'm going to ask everybody. I know one of your previous callers, and I forget his name, but said that, everybody had encouraged people to pray for Israel. I encourage everybody to pray for Israel in this time, and the brave men and women of the IDF, and also to pray for President Trump, because he needs our prayers too. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Blueberry Steve.
Roll Tide and roll MAGA.
Thank you.
And let's have the IDF roll over the Islamo-Nazis in Lebanon.
Thank you. Thank you, Blueberry Steve. We appreciate you. Let's go to Josh in Georgia. Josh, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Everything's good, Ryan. I'm sitting here eating a little bit at dinner and getting ready for the new opportunity that has presented itself into my life here recently.
Ooh, that's a tease. A new opportunity.
It's just changing jobs. It's not different from what I'm doing, but it's a different company and a little bit better benefits, we'll say it that way.
Okay. Now, you're not going to pull an Auburn, are you? They're going to pay you?
No.
You're going to be like the worst company? Okay, because that's what Auburn's having to offer right now. It's not much.
No, I know.
And if you look at the ladies that go down there, they're not offering much either.
No. But I just seen whenever I got off work a little while ago where you had shared about, bless their heart, about that quarterback comment. I don't know who I feel more sorry for.
I know.
Him.
I'm kind of embarrassed in my comment, to be honest with you, but that's okay. You do it, you might as well leave with it.
Right.
Bless the heart is not bless the heart in the South. I feel sorry for
No. Yeah, I know that. And it's pretty common. You'd be like, oh, bless their heart.
Yeah, bless their heart.
But we got the Commodores on the schedule for Saturday. Today's Thursday, man. I'm tired, dude. We have worked our tails off today, and tomorrow's not going to be no different, but it's Friday.
Something tells me you've got a dog. You got a dog supervisor. Do you have a dog supervisor?
Yeah, I do, and I'm going to in the other job too. But
so have you already turned in the notice? You already told them to?
Not officially yet. We're moving toward that process and everything, but everything's starting to move.
Okay.
So
super.
And we're going to handle it right. So I don't want to hang nobody out the window to dry and not help out till everything's said and done. I's dotted, T's crossed, everything like that. So, but I can't wait to sit down and watch this game. And I'll probably I'll be somewhere where I have multiple TVs. I can tell you that, because I hope to see Georgia thump Little Brother. That's because we made them so mad. I mean, dude, I cannot tell you how many people have been aggravated at me, and they're like, we'll see you again in the playoffs. We'll see you again in the playoffs. I'm like, just worry about Texas. Y'all got to go to Austin, and y'all ain't looked good on really either two road games right yet. And I said, Texas might just bust y'all in the mouth. So, I mean, I'm talking all kinds of smack. I'm loving it.
Well, when you look at Georgia, could we find Georgia not in the playoffs? I think it's a big stretch. Is it out of the realm of possibilities? No. I mean, you heard Brad Powers a couple of minutes talking about Alabama's 12-1 odds, $1,200 to $100. You'd have to put $1,200 to win $100 if you just think Alabama's going to make the playoffs. So we talked about this last week, that we thought Georgia and Alabama was not a play-in game, but in a lot of ways it gives you a lot of margin of error.
Mm-hmm. And I think I had said it, or somebody had said it, and I agreed with them, that the quarterback that comes out victorious definitely jumps in the Heisman race. And, dude, I'm telling you, if Jalen Milroe ain't leading the Heisman odds, something's wrong. I mean, because I wasn't too impressed with that Miami kid. I mean, sure, they won the game, but that was that was questionable there toward the end, but I don't think he performed as well as Milroe. And that's just me. I mean, I'm going to say that and probably people's going to call me what do y'all call them? Y'all call them gumps. People's going to call me a gump because I'm all in with Alabama. I mean, you know me. But on other side of things, I cannot wait to make my return to Tuscaloosa for my next game. And I'm getting to come down for the South Carolina game next weekend.
Oh, super cool.
So,
yeah.
So I'm going to come down Friday about a half day. I'm going to work a half day, come down Friday, and do a couple of things Friday, and go to the game Saturday. Then I got to make my way back over to East Alabama, almost Paul's neck of the woods, for services on Sunday. So I'll be doing service on Sunday next week over East Alabama, over toward Paul's neck of the woods. But, yep, getting to come and we'll have some chicken for breakfast in Bryant-Denny next week. But right now we got to take on the Commodores of Vanderbilt, and that'll look like a smaller home game because we make that stadium look like our stadium, all that crimson line up there. And
should be
of course,
should be a very dominant.
You know the clip that always circulates from 2017 where that kid said, "You come to our house, we're gonna show to play how to SEC ball," and 59-0, like nearly 500 yards. And we just waxed the floor with him. That clip come across my phone today on lunch break, and I just laughed. I was like, man, that was a good one.
It is.
But,
Alabama, you're next. Alabama.
Right.
Hey, Jackson, pull up the Vanderbilt.
The way he said
clip.
that. The way he said that.
Alabama, you got to come to our place. You're next. It's the Vanderbilt offensive lineman. I believe it's offensive lineman. But
it was offensive or defensive, but it cracks me up every time I see it, and I can't help but think about it every time I play
that's a good one. That's a good one. And, no, I like it as well. Josh, I appreciate you, man. Roll Tide.
Yeah, buddy. Roll Tide.
Hey, right back to you. It's Med Center Urgent Care Family Medicine. No appointment necessary. The super doctors who live and work in our area. Med Center Urgent Care Family Medicine. MedCenterUrgentCare.com. Hey, we got to get you back to 100%. Injuries, occupational health. You can do that by visiting either location. A little bit under the weather. A lot of sickness going around. Med Center in the Lowe's Shopping Center on 69 South. Also, you'll find him in Demopolis, Fayette. Hey, Josh, great reminder. Let's go back to the Vanderbilt player. This was back in 2017, but it is a good memory. Alabama had a 499-yard rushing performance. They beat the Vanderbilt Commodores, just thumped them. Hey, we could always make it up as rat poison and say that happened this week, but it didn't happen this week. But it is a good reflection. Before we go, this is the Vanderbilt, I believe, offensive lineman from 2017. It kind of poked the bear just a little bit too much.
When you come to our house, we show you how to play some SEC ball. It don't matter where you're from. You're going to know what ball we play. Alabama, you're next.
Yeah, Alabama, you're next. Alabama, you're next. Alabama, you're next. Yes, we were. And Alabama stomped a mud hole in them that day. I don't know if it'll be the same, but Alabama's going up there hopefully with a 22.5-point favorite. We're going to break down that game and a lot more. Keelan Russell in the 5 o'clock hour.
Points in Tennessee.
Okay, but you and I can clatter for 20 minutes. What you got on your mind?
No, you ain't. You got to cut me off when you got that whatever you got coming up.
5-star quarterback.
Well, Whoopi, he can wait till tomorrow. This is my time, fella.
Nick, don't be mean.
He ain't signed yet, has he? Has he signed?
He will be. He will. He's already committed. He's already committed. He's rolling with the tide.
Until he gets signed, then you give him his time.
Well, I mean, you're a 5-star caller. You're his opening act.
Yeah, right. He probably ain't listening.
He could be. He could be.
Well, he needs to start listening.
Yeah, he's already downloaded the Tide 100.9 app. I'm understanding he's a big fan. Big fan.
Yeah. Well, now let's get on with it, fella.
Okay.
Let's talk about Vanderbilt football.
Okay, yeah, I'm ready. All right, you already.
Well,
this is the Bama Nick scouting report.
About it.
Well, we're not worried about Vanderbilt. We're not worried about Vanderbilt, but you're worried about us. So tell me why you're worried.
No, I ain't worried about them. I'm just worried about everybody else is worried about them. It's a trap game, pal. It's going to be a trap game.
They put rat traps all over the building.
Well, it's going to be a trap game, pal. Alabama better not go in there with a. We're going to wipe the field with Vanderbilt. They better go in there and go in there with some confidence and some. Let's take business, one game at a time. Don't go in there looking ahead to Tennessee and South Carolina. Go in there and take care of business.
And that's what I want to see. And that's what we were asking earlier today. What you want to see.
I don't want to see what I saw Saturday night against Georgia, and that's another thing. Georgia game's over with. Let's get off of that.
Yes, sir.
I saw what we screwed up in the second half and let Georgia come back. And it made me have to sweat, Fowler. I had to sweat. I don't like having to sweat in games, Fowler. I do not like having to sweat.
So were you nervous? Were you nervous when they took the lead?
30-7, Fowler, and then we started going into the prevent defense. And what have I always told you, Fowler? When you go to prevent, you're preventing yourself from winning. And that's the only thing they do. When are people going to realize that, Fowler?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true.
You don't take your foot off the pedal.
So
whenever you're ahead, you go ahead and keep.
What was your reaction when Georgia took the lead? Were you?
Yeah. Let me tell you something. I'm scared to say what I'm thinking.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah.
The captain told me, Bama Cat said, Nick, please don't say anything. Well, when they took the lead, you know what I did? I'm sitting out here on my patio with my two Georgia Bulldog fans sitting here and jumping up and raising hell and laughing. We got you now. And my ass cheek swelled up about 2 notches. And you couldn't even got a pecan in there. But then 13 seconds later, when Alabama scored, they left. And then I took the pecan up. My ass got back to normal.
Well, you know what we always say. You couldn't have drove a 20-penny nail up my butt with a 30-pound sledgehammer. So
that's right. Well, that's about the way mine was, but I had the pecan. And,
I mean, being from Georgia, but okay. But are you still smack talking with some of your dogs? I mean, are you?
No, I ain't seen a dog fan since Saturday night.
Okay.
And I was with Kerry Moore today. I sent you a picture. We was down in Dawson, Georgia today doing a commercial.
Okay.
I was down there with him, and he wanted me to go do a commercial and film it and everything. So I went down there with him, and I sent it to you on Messenger.
Yeah. Hey, I just gotta. Yeah, and I had to go look at it. I haven't looked at my Messenger, but hey, we've got a very special listener just sent me a message and said, "Hey, please ask Bama Nick what his coaching record was."
My coaching record?
Yeah, what was your
What year is he talking about? When I coached Little League Baseball or when I coached?
Little League Baseball.
Okay. Well, that would be back in 1970.
Were you undefeated?
Oh, no. I was like the Bad News Bears team. When I was over there in Kings Bay, Georgia, when I was in the Navy, they gave me all the other ones that nobody else wanted, so I took them.
Okay.
We did pretty good. That year. Of course, we didn't win that, but the kids enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best teams I was on didn't win a game. It was fun.
Well, I didn't say we didn't win a game. I just say we didn't win the final, or we didn't make. I think we won 4 games that year.
Yeah, I got you.
But I was in the Navy and I was doing it,
Just having fun. Yeah.
It's just having fun. I love baseball, and I played baseball, and I went out there coaching them. It was in Kingsland, Georgia, when I did that, working with an umpire association, which I later went and joined the umpire association. That's when I became an umpire. Started calling baseball games and got license and everything to call high school. I called up in Charlotte, North Carolina. I umpired a lot up in Charlotte, North Carolina, Mecklenburg County.
I got you.
So, and you tell that whoever sent that text that you ain't always got to be a coach to be involved with kids and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, your heart was in the right place.
Yeah, I was in the military, and I was stationed down in Kings Bay, Georgia, and on a sub-tender. And I had time to go out and get involved with the community, and I loved coaching baseball. I was playing baseball, but at that time I couldn't.
While I was in the Navy, I couldn't play anymore, so I said, well, I'll go start coaching. And I had a couple sailors that wanted to help coach, so I had them as assistant coaches and got involved with the community. And that's what the Navy likes to promote. Okay. Whenever you're somewhere, you get involved with the community.
Yeah.
It looks good on you. It looks good on your record, too, if you're going up for promotions and stuff, Fowler.
Okay.
But as far as being a college football coach, no, I ain't never coached no college football team.
But I mean, we respect your opinion. So
well, you just tell that asshole that sent you that text, because what I say, ask him when the last time they coached any kind of team or played any kind of ball, or even served their country.
Now he is a fellow military guy, so yeah. So he's been
whatever.
He was in the Air Force.
Well, that figures. Yeah, that's about the. Well, I ain't gonna say that, but.
All right, I got to run, Bama Nick. I got to get to this.
I'll tell you about the Air Force off the air, pal.
I saw a video one time, and it was it was how to cross a gate. Okay. And it was it was the Marines. They went up, just picked it up. And we just ran over it. Ran over the gate. Threw it down. Navy guy, he comes over and barely steps over it, right? And then the Army guy, he goes under it, right, under the gate,
right.
And the Air Force guy just comes up the gate and takes 2 steps to the right, walks around it, and
well, that's about what they do. But I tell you one thing.
Smart folks hanging out in the Air Force.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't saying the dumbest.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
All right, I ain't getting in this military competition. I gotta run, Peminick. You're trying to take me places I don't know if I want to go.
Well, you in Texas, Tony was taking me places I ain't never heard of.
We just didn't want people to get good food. That's what we want to do.
I thought Tony was trying to take Brett Gardner's job.
Yeah. Well, listen, he says he respects your Navy opinion. Thank you so much, and he appreciates sharing it. So
yeah, well, I hope so, because unless he's the number one caller of this show, he can get on. He can call your show and get on there and compete with me and talk to me on there. You'll put us on there.
He's in he's in a support role. He's in a support role for us. So
a support role.
Yeah, like support. Like you got to have. What is it like?
Well, you got to have a support. What, a jock strap? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I gotta go. You never know. We gotta get to Keelan Russell. Be good, Bama Nick. Roll Tide.
That's on Supporter Avenue.
Yeah, we gotta run. Keelan Russell.
Yeah,
coming
you
up.
always do when I'm on there.
All right.
Let Tony clatter for 30 minutes.
Tony, we had gave up some points in the back end. Second half, we showcased our talent and we showcased who Roll Tide is, who Alabama football is, and it was just nothing but excitement when I came to the game. Throughout the game, it was just so fun to watch. Even the young boys like Ryan Williams and Xavier Brown complete the game and be the youngest on the field and do what they do. It's so young. At so young, it was just so fun to watch.
Yeah, and from a recruiting standpoint, though, I mean, because most of us will never have the chance to be recruited and, come into a game like that to be able to. But, I mean, there was a ton of recruits there to watch that game. What was the reaction from the other guys that you were sitting with?
Man, I'm pretty sure they had the same reaction. Let's just go to the last drive. Ryan Williams, shout out to him. But let's just go to the last drive. Man, I think I went deaf for a little bit. after the touchdown, man, and then the stadium shut down, it went all dark. It was just crazy, and I could just tell you right now, everybody's face went from stuck to oh my gosh, and it was just so crazy, and it was just so fun to watch and so fun to see.
And when you look at Ryan Williams being able to make this impact, the way that he's been able to make it, I mean, as a quarterback that could be throwing to Ryan Williams here at the University of Alabama, I mean, that has to excite you because this young man's only going to get better and better and better and better.
Yeah, it very much does excite me. Next year, hopefully, I get the chance to throw to him in game and make the same statement, make the same stuff happen. I could just tell this dude has nothing but success in front of him. Like, we already talking about draft picks for him. At such a young age, he's doing this. He should, like he said, like everybody say, he should be in high school right now playing against me. So it's just like, dang, it should give you like almost it should give you almost like a little push to say any 17-year-old can do what they can do. All you got to do is put your mind into it. And for him to go out there and ball like this is crazy. And be the number one receiver on probably the highest level competition you can get in college football.
Keelan, what is your relationship with Jalen Milroe? Have you got a chance to get to know him?
Yeah, we talked it up. I actually got his number we talked it up a few times. Every time I come down there, we talked it up. Me and him really kind of grew up the same, parents, from Texas. He's from Katy. I'm from Dallas, obviously. But, was highly recruited, 4-star. Now I'm a 5-star. But we were both, highly recruited. We go to Alabama. And in high school, we both put up crazy amount of numbers, crazy amount of stats for our team. Both had great team. Both had great ball knowledge. So we kind of have the same, we both kind of have the same features and growing up. So that was really the biggest thing we talked about was how the development how much the development poured into him coming to Alabama. So it's just very exciting. And I'm just willing to, build relationships with him even more on and off the field. So it's going to be good.
Are you a guy that can make people pay? Because it seems to be a trend with quarterbacks that can extend the play, that can be mobile enough that defenses have to guard against that. Is that your style as well?
Now, I don't even know why you asked that question. Of course, man. Of course. You know this. I'm going to make
you to say it on the air. That's where I was going.
Yeah,
I'll put that up on a tee for you. I put that up on a tee for you.
Hey, if you don't know now, we're one of the top 5 teams in the country.
Sure.
If you gonna come, we have dudes all around. If you gonna come play us, you better come with your best effort. I'm telling you right now, because if you do something crazy, you gonna pay for it. I'm telling you. Touchdowns all night long. That's all you're gonna hear in the stances. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. This is all night long. You're gonna get real tired of it if you're on a part of the team.
Yeah, and you guys, as you said, number 4 ranked team in the country, number 1 in Texas high school football. I mean, I'm not trying to take shots at Alabama, but Texas high school football is another level. I call it like a junior college system with it itself. I mean, it's so advanced out there when you look at the state of Texas.
Yeah, y'all heard it millions of times. It's bigger in Texas. Football team. Shoot, the food bigger. the players is bigger. We already got dudes who look like college dudes out here. So it's real fun, but at the same time, the competition level, it gets you nothing but ready for college. So, it's hard, but at the same time, it's going to get you ready for sure.
But, a couple of weeks ago, I think you guys played another top-ranked team, and as you said, you took them to the schoolhouse and gave them an old-fashioned whipping out there.
Yes, we played St. Francis. That was probably going to be one of our hardest games this year. Real good team, gave good effort, throughout the plays, and had great developed players, had amazing talent on the D-line, everywhere, to be honest, had amazing talent. And like I said, they put up a great fight. But like I said, if you come, you're going to have to give your best effort throughout all 4 quarters, and that's what we did, and that's why we came out on top, because we wanted it more. So, we got it.
So you're looking at a bye week. Give me some areas that you guys want to improve upon coming off of the victory over Skyline, 63-14. I think it was 6 touchdowns that you had last week. When you look at it, and I hope I didn't cut you short, but I think it's 6 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, last week. But coming into the Georgia-Alabama game right before that, where do you guys need to improve the most?
Yeah, every offense, every defense has to go back to the drawing board every time they win or lose. They got to go back to the drawing board. No team is very perfect, but that's the goal of it, trying to get to the best extent that you can. So I feel like we got to go all the way back to the drawing board, especially versus DeSoto, another ranked team. We got to go all the way back to the drawing board for this one. and we can't take this week light because, like I said, we're playing DeSoto, and they're not going to come to play because they already got a loss on their head, and they don't want another one. So they got something to lose, and we got something that we can lose, too, if we don't put in all of our effort into practice. Because, like Coach said today, practice is the hard part. Winning is the easy part. So we just got to, do our thing. We're going to go out there and ball. We got dudes, like I said, we got studs all around. We got people that's going to make you pay. We got people who's going to get to the quarterback. We got people who's going to make touchdown, highlights. We got dudes that's going to do anything that you can say. So, we're just working right now. We're working. We're taking this off week real hard. We're determined to, go into this next week with even more pressure, even more power. And our goal is to come out on top this week.
Keelan, when you look at Kalen DeBoer, you understand football to a level that most of us will never be able to understand. But when you look at him doing this in the SEC, does that give you a confirmation that you made the right choice?
It most definitely does. I have no doubt that Kalen DeBoer is the best coach in college football history. Y'all might say Nick Saban, but for you to come into another program and do what you're doing right now is high expectations. And I believe that we have the team right now to go all the way to the national level. So we're going to do great things, and I believe in Coach DeBoer. With him, I believe in him so much with my talent. He's going to make me a great quarterback. He's going to make me a phenomenal person, and he's going to keep me rolling.
Yeah. How about Nick Sheridan? He's your guy that's recruiting you personally.
Yeah, Nick Sheridan, that's like almost my second dad, to be honest. I ain't gonna lie. He hits me up, like today he hit me up, saying just to tell me he loves me, So
did you tell him you were going to be on the radio in Tuscaloosa? Did you?
Hey, he didn't, but I'm here now, so.
Hey, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nah, I was saying that, me and Nick Sheridan has a very close bond, which is expected from the quarterback coach to the quarterback. That's probably going to be the person you talk to the most. If not, I don't know who will, because, if your coach not getting on you 24/7, then, he's not doing his job as a coach. But, we and him are real close, and I feel like he's going to make me a great quarterback, and he's going to make me a great human being at that.
Keelan, I want to ask you about the guys that, is coming with you to Tuscaloosa. Have you built a relationship with some of these guys? And if so, who that's part of this signing class or will be a part of the signing class in December? But have you built any relationship with these guys here that are current commitments to Alabama?
Of course. I know y'all seen it. I've been having these dudes dragging from, across the country to come play with the Keelan Russell. So,
sure.
Yeah, so, of course, I'm going to be doing my recruiting. I'm trying to get the best players to come play with me. And like I said, I want this to be the legendary team. I want this to be the team in the next 30 years. They talking about this is the best Alabama team. So, of course, I'm going to recruit it anywhere, anytime, and build relationships with these young athletes because the next few years, this is going to be the team that's going to be showcasing the national championship.
Hey, man, we love it. We love national titles. That's the expectation around here.
Yes, sir.
We don't like this number 2 ranking on recruiting. We got to get to number 1. So who's next? You got somebody that you're pushing a little bit hard to join you in Tuscaloosa?
Man, I feel like at this moment, it's kind of like the flip season type of deal.
Okay.
You got a lot of people that's committed already, so we trying to get a lot of people to open their minds up and see Alabama football truly.
Well, Saturday should go a long way. Just show them.
Yeah,
just show them the.
Yeah, so we got a lot of dudes that's still uncommitted, but if they came to Alabama game, I'm sure they probably would have been. They probably thinking about committing and stuff. So,
are you still hearing from other college programs?
Oh no.
Okay, so you don't even. If they call, do you just hit the reject button on the phone? Is that?
I had a little bit of colleges hit me up, but I'm not really taking them serious. You know what I'm saying? It's Roll Tide Nation all the way, so it's kind of a situation where they hit me up, check up on me, and I just give them the red dot to be like, hey, I love that you're checking in on me, but I don't think y'all are gonna get me, so. I mean, y'all can play the games and stuff, but
move on.
Yeah, type deal.
Keelan, what's you're going to be you are going to be an early enrollee, right? You'll be here in December.
Yes, I will.
Okay, so you'll be able to go through probably bowl practice, I assume, if that's a possibility. I assume.
Oh yeah.
Well, Keelan, I can't wait to cover you, man. I just wanted to check in with you in Duncanville, and these Alabama fans, man. I mean, they're watching Duncanville just like they are Alabama. The Panthers rolling out there, #1 team in the state of Texas. That's a great achievement. Hey, man, keep up the good work, and hey, congratulations for being the Elite 11 MVP Baller of the Month. I mean, the stats are. I mean, they're unreal. 90 of 120, 1,415 yards, 21 touchdowns. Keep up the great work, man, and best of luck. We're keeping an eye on Duncanville, Texas, man. You guys keep up the good work, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank y'all for having me.
Hey, absolutely, man. Best of luck to you the rest of the way, and we'll try to check in with you here in maybe a month or so. Thank you again.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Thank you for listening to The Game with Ryan Fowler, powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We're moving a little slow in the area, but then some spots are A-OK. So the ones that are slow, definitely Lurleen Wallace, and that is in both the north and southbound lanes between 15th Street and McFarland. So that's a long line. McFarland